Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales. Chapter 44-19. The beautiful teacher was a little surprised by Kang Xinmu's confidence. Of course, she didn't know that Kang Xinmu had long planned to kill the 6th-level reincarnation tribulation realm intermediate devil spirit during the training. Therefore, in the past half a month, it could only be said that he had increased his confidence. It wasn't because he didn't have enough strength previously, but because he didn't want to waste time. Then do your best. The beautiful teacher chuckled, then suddenly lowered her voice and said, based on the current situation, if you can really kill the 5th or even 6th level reincarnation tribulation realm intermediate devil spirit, you may very well have the opportunity to enter the Fecta zone in the next school tournament. Crossing the entire Migres zone from the Yuheng zone to the Fecta zone. This situation had originally never happened in the history of the 4 great dragon martial academies, but it was very likely that such a situation would occur in this year's school tournament. This wasn't just because the students' strength had greatly increased. It was more likely that, as previously mentioned, the number of students in each academy zone would double. Only then would it be possible for Kang Xinmu to directly cross from the Yuheng zone to the Fecta zone. One had to know that Kang Xinmu was very clear about his current strength, which was around the middle of the Migres zone. It would be extremely difficult for him to really go against the Dragon Emperors in the Fecta zone. Only by increasing the quota could he immediately step into the Fecta zone. Once he stepped into the Fecta zone, the speed at which Kang Xinmu devoured and absorbed the Dragon Mark's energy would greatly increase. This would allow him to step into the Dragon Emperor level of inheritance blood essence faster. This training opportunity also gave Kang Xinmu a great advantage. The experience points that other Dragon Martial Academy students obtained in this training definitely couldn't compare to those of Kang Xinmu and the other two. Even if it was the Migres zone students or the Fecta zone students, there were very few who could obtain experience points that were comparable to Kang Xinmu's. Soon, the beautiful tutor finished what she wanted to say and turned to leave. Xiao Yuhua and the girl in the white dress began to discuss in private. They didn't have much confidence in whether they could break through the Migres zone and go straight to the Fecta zone. However, they were still rather excited at the thought of the massive amount of experience points they would be able to obtain after this training. Kang Xinmu planned to use these experiential points to exchange for a superior grade origin dragon martial technique. As for Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl, they had their own plans as well. In short, they would be able to improve their strength greatly. After the beautiful mentor left, Kang Xinmu brought the 2 girls to look at the arena. Right now, it was a student from the Fecta zone who was challenging a low-rank Devil General Void Beast. It looked like he was in a perilous situation. In terms of combat strength, he was much stronger than the middle-rank Devil Spirit that Kang Xinmu and the other 2 had faced. They could not be compared at all. Let's take a break first, then we'll go on stage. Kang Xinmu was in a good state now. After saying that to the 2 girls, he closed his eyes and rested. He didn't think too much about the strength of the Void Beast. In any case, he was already very confident that he could deal with the middle-rank Devil Spirit that he wanted to deal with. The 2 girls didn't hesitate and began to rest like him. The place they chose was a corner in the void. However, even if they were in a corner, some Dragon Warrior students would look at them from time to time and point at them. Among them were students from Donghuang Yangwu College. Most of them looked at Kang Xinmu with contempt and disgust. After all, in the eyes of most people, Kang Xinmu had defected of his own accord. Only a few students from Donghuang Yangwu College knew that Kang Xinmu had been forced to leave by Xiaofan. Fortunately, Xiaofan wasn't present now. Otherwise, Kang Xinmu really didn't suspect that Xiaofan would tamper with the training. After leaving Donghuang Yangwu College, Xiaofan won't be able to control me anymore. Even if Xiaofan still wants to hinder me during this training, the seniors from Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy won't just stand by and watch. Kang Xinmu now had a sense of security that he didn't have when he was in Donghuang Yangwu College. This allowed him to focus all his attention on improving his strength, and not worry about other things. About 2 hours later, the training field finally quietened down. Just now, 3 students from the Fekta zone had gone up to fight the low-rank Devil General-level Void demonic creatures. They seemed to be good friends. They had defeated the 3rd-tier Reincarnation Tribulation Realm low-rank Devil General and lost to the 4th-tier middle-rank Devil General. Such a result was considered good among the students from the Fekta zone. However, the number of experience points they could obtain was only about the same as that of Kang Shinmu and the other 2. It was just that they didn't reach the upper limit of the students from the Fekta zone. In terms of difficulty, if one only wanted to obtain the same amount of experience points, the more advantageous it was for the students in the outermost zone. It was just that there was a limit to the points that students in the outermost zone could obtain. When the 3 students from the Fekta zone finished their challenges, the field was finally empty. At this time, Kang Shinmu decisively stepped forward, planning to follow up on his previous results and continue to challenge the 5th-tier middle-rank Devil Spirit. When Kang Shinmu took the 2 girls to the field, the expressions of the surrounding people changed slightly, and they all paid attention to them. I heard that this Kang Shinmu, as a student from the Yuheng zone, led a team to kill a 4th-tier middle-rank Devil Spirit, and it seemed to be very easy. This time, I want to see what kind of tricks this Kang Shinmu has. The 3 of them seem to have improved. It shouldn't be a big problem to deal with a 5th-tier middle-rank Devil Spirit, right? Who knows? Anyway, the strongest students from the Yuheng zone of the 4 academies could only kill a 5th-tier middle-rank Devil Spirit. They were lucky enough to encounter a defense-type demonic creature, so they had a chance to kill the opponent. The surrounding people were all talking and pointing at Kang Shinmu and the others. Many of these students weren't here last time. They heard about Kang Shinmu's battle situation and the bet with Chu Qingyun. Now that the trial was about to end, many students came to watch the battle. This was because it would affect the situation of the academy tournament in the future. The students who obtained better results in this trial would definitely have a great breakthrough in the next academy tournament, so they needed to pay attention to them. This was related to the vital interests of every student, so it was also useful for them to observe the fighting methods of some powerhouses in advance. Even many students from the Yaoguang zone had the opportunity to directly enter the Kaiyang zone or even the Yuheng zone in the next school competition. Everything depended on their opponents and their own performance in the school competition. Chapter 44-20. Kang Shinmu led the 2 girls into the arena. This was their 2nd time going up. As students of the Yuheng district, they directly chose a 5th-tier Reincarnation Realm Void monster as their opponent. This scene attracted the attention of many Dragon Warrior students who were watching the battle. Many students from the Yuheng district, Kaiyang district, and even the Migres district and Tianji district of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy felt a little nervous. After all, Kang Shinmu and the other 2 were likely to be their opponents in the competition. Therefore, many people wanted to see the strength of Kang Shinmu and the other 2 clearly. Chu Qingyun was also in the crowd. Seeing Kang Shinmu enter the arena, Chu Qingyun's face was gloomy. Although he could not use the Great Desolate Demon Vanquishing Sword, it was still a heaven-level dragon weapon. He could exchange it for a lot of experience points. Losing to Kang Shinmu just like that made him extremely unhappy. This was because after he lost the last time, he went back and scolded Xiaofan. Of course, now that the Void Rift had appeared and the Void Beasts were invading, Xiaofan had to guard the front line and had no time to teach him a lesson. He just scolded him and arranged some cultivation resources for him before leaving. These cultivation resources allowed Chu Qingyun to break through to the 1st tier of the Reincarnation Realm. However, Xiaofan was very depressed now. If he could not suppress Kang Shinmu in this trial, the cultivation resources provided by Xiaofan would stop here. This was because Xiaofan had really given him a lot of cultivation resources in order to nurture him. These cultivation resources were equivalent to 5 years of consumption for ordinary Yuheng district students. In the end, he used them up in a few months. It was precisely because of this that Chu Qingyun's strength improved so quickly. If Xiaofan stopped providing cultivation resources, the speed of Chu Qingyun's strength improvement would suddenly plummet. He had just started to be called a super genius. If it was suddenly gone, one could imagine how depressed he would be. So, if one had to say who was the most interested in the challenge of Kang Xinmu's group of 3, then that would undoubtedly be Chu Qingyun. If Kang Xinmu's team managed to kill a 5th-level Samsara Tribulation Realm middle-rank Devil Spirit, then they would be able to tie with Chu Qingyun. However, if Kang Xinmu really managed to kill a 6th-level Samsara Tribulation Realm middle-rank Devil Spirit, then the situation would be very bad. Would Xiaofan continue to nurture Chu Qingyun? Impossible. It wasn't just that Chu Qingyun had lost to Kang Xinmu, causing Donghuang Yangwu College and Xiaofan to lose face. The most important thing was that Chu Qingyun didn't have any value in continuing to be groomed. At this time, Chu Qingyun could be said to be nervous to the extreme. He had already used up the number of times he could challenge the monsters, a total of 3 times. No one could break this rule. Now, he had only killed a 5th-level Samsara Tribulation Realm middle-rank Devil Spirit. He had tried to kill a 6th-level Devil Spirit and was directly defeated. It was impossible for him to kill a 6th-level Devil Spirit. A 6th-level Devil Spirit is so strong. It's impossible for him to lose to that brat, Kang Xinmu. That brat can't improve so quickly. Chu Qingyun clenched his teeth and thought to himself in the crowd. He didn't dare to be too conspicuous now. He had lost face last time, and Xiaofan had already warned him seriously. If he lost face outside again, then it wouldn't just end with him not being able to nurture him. Chu Qingyun didn't dare to imagine the consequences. So now, he didn't dare to show his face at all. He could only hide in the crowd and watch the situation. He pinned all his hopes on Kang Xinmu being unable to kill a 6th-level Samsara Tribulation Realm middle-rank Devil Spirit. Even many students of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy from the Yuheng District and Migres District were thinking the same. Because once Kang Xinmu killed a middle-rank Devil Spirit, then there might be 3 fewer students who could go to the Migres District in the following school competition. The difference in experience points obtained from killing a 6th-level Devil Spirit was huge. It could even be a difference of half. How much could those experience points increase the strength of Kang Xinmu and the other 2? It was simply unimaginable. So now, many people in the field were extremely nervous as they watched Kang Xinmu and the other 2 go up. A mid-rank Devil Spirit at the 5th level of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm is here. When Kang Xinmu and the other 2 transformed into dragons, a small void crack suddenly appeared in the training field. Then, a 6,000 feet long 3-eyed demon spirit appeared in everyone's vision. It's actually a 3-eyed demon spirit. This is a noble bloodline among the void demons. It's said that its combat strength is extremely strong at the same level and can even fight beyond its level. The last time Kang Xinmu and the other 2 challenged a 4th-level Devil Spirit, they defeated an opponent that could fight beyond their level. Now there's another one. This 3-eyed demon spirit is at the 5th level of the Samsara Tribulation Realm and can fight a 6th-level Devil Spirit. This Kang Xinmu's luck is really not too good. It's said that although the 3-eyed demon spirit is only a demon spirit, it can store the power of a demon general. Once that power is used, it can destroy heaven and earth. It's much stronger than ordinary demon spirits. Outside the field, everyone was talking about it. When Kang Xinmu saw the 3-eyed demon spirit, he was also shocked. Oh my, it's so powerful. Last time, the level for middle-rank Devil Spirit's combat strength far surpassed void demonic creatures of the same level. After all, that middle-rank Devil Spirit strength was more concealed. Even the Dragon Emperor mentor who was in charge of these training demonic creatures couldn't tell which one was stronger. But this time, the three-eyed demon spirit was clearly targeting him. Seeing such a scene, Kang Xinmu narrowed his eyes. Chu Qingyun, who was hidden in the crowd, finally heaved a sigh of relief. Then, a smile appeared on his face as if his plan had succeeded. Even Teacher Dragon Emperor needs experience points. For the sake of my future and to continue being nurtured by Lord Xiaofan, I'm prepared to give all the experience points I can get from this trial to Instructor Dragon Emperor, who is in charge of arranging the demons. This way, Kang Xinmu and the others can't even kill the 5th level devil spirit. That's already very good. Although Kang Xinmu and the others still had 2 chances, and if they failed this time, there would be a next time. But Chu Qingyun believed that Instructor Dragon Emperor, who was in charge of this matter, wouldn't let him down. Instructor Dragon Emperor also needed experience points. That was for sure, but it couldn't be done in name. Moreover, Instructor Dragon Emperor, who was in charge of the demons, wasn't from Donghuang Yangwu College. Thus, Chu Qingyun planned to exchange the experience points for cultivation resources that the other party needed and then give them to the other party in private. To the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy's instructor, this could be considered as killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Not only would he obtain the Eastern Emperor Dragon Martial Academy's cultivation resources, but he would also weaken the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy's strength. Chapter 44-21. Kang Xinmu naturally didn't know what Chu Qingyun had done. But when he looked at the three-eyed demon spirit in front of him, he narrowed his eyes. This three-eyed demon spirit had 3 large eyes on its head. The moment it appeared, it glared at Kang Xinmu. The cages used to imprison the void demonic creatures in this training ground were all sealed. The situation in the central training ground wasn't something that the void demonic creatures could see. Thus, the imprisoned void demonic creatures didn't know what happened here. They didn't know what happened to their companions, nor did they know what the various dragon martialists were capable of. The moment the three-eyed demon spirit appeared, it discovered that the dragon martialist in front of it was only at the 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. This made it somewhat puzzled. Could it be that these dragon martialists wanted it to fight against 3 weaklings in front of it? To the three-eyed demon spirit, it was a super genius of the void demonic creature race. Now that it was at the 5th level of the Samsara realm, even a 6th level Samsara realm devil martialist wouldn't be its match. It had even fought against a lower rank devil general before. A devil general was a powerful existence on the same level as the dragon emperor. If a dragon king could fight against a dragon emperor, it would be unimaginable. Of course, as a devil martialist, the three-eyed demon spirit could only fight against a devil general. It couldn't kill a devil general. In truth, this three-eyed demon spirit's devil race bloodline was close to that of a devil general. The devil chi meridian in its body was already very complete. Once it stepped into the devil general realm, it would be a peak expert of the void demonic creature race. Unfortunately, before it had the chance to break through to the devil general realm, it was captured by the dragon martialists and became a captive. Originally, the three-eyed demon spirit was still wondering why the dragon martialists captured it. Since they didn't want to kill it, they wanted to capture it alive. But now it understood. It seemed that the dragon martialists were treating it as a training target. And the ones it needed to deal with were 3 seemingly weak little dragon martialists. In the eyes of the three-eyed demon spirit, whether it was Kang Xinmu or the 2 girls, the difference in strength between them was too great. Although Dragon King and Mo Ling were at the same level, the difference in cultivation realm was too big. The three-eyed demon spirit was not without intelligence. It guessed that they had no chance of winning against the dragon warrior in this place. After all, the dragon emperor was guarding outside. However, killing 1 or 2 dragon martial artists was worth it. If he wanted to have a chance to kill the dragon warrior, he had to kill him in one strike. Furthermore, he had to do it as fast as he could. Otherwise, the other party might call for help. Thus, the three-eyed demon spirit didn't act immediately. It squatted down on the spot cautiously. In the void, the demonic aura was dense and gave off a boundless and terrifying aura. It carefully observed the scene, judging the importance of Kang Xinmu and the other two. However, it was importance, not strength. From its point of view, both Kang Xinmu and Xiao Yuhua were weak existences. It would be easy for it to kill one of them, but the key was, whose position was more important? The difference in their cultivation realms was too big. The strongest was at the first level of the rebirth tribulation realm, while the weakest was only at the sixth level of the nirvana tribulation realm. Could it be that the sixth level dragon warrior was very important? After all, the sixth level nirvana tribulation realm was able to face the three-eyed demon spirit. His strength was definitely not bad. In that case, it seemed that the young dragon warrior was more important. In that case, it would target the black dragon. The three-eyed demon spirit decided on its target and immediately erupted. During this time, Kang Xinmu and the other two did not move. They were all on guard against the three-eyed demon spirit's movements. But immediately after, Kang Xinmu's vision blurred, and the three-eyed demon spirit's figure disappeared in front of him. Where did it go? It wants to sneak attack me. Kang Xinmu felt an incomparable killing intent lock onto him from the void. His expression did not change because he was already prepared to receive the three-eyed demon spirit's attack. The three-eyed demon spirit's strength was extremely strong. It was comparable to a sixth-level rebirth tribulation realm middle-rank demon spirit. Its speed suddenly exploded to the extreme. A terrifying demonic aura burst out from the black dragon body that Kang Xinmu had transformed into, enveloping Kang Xinmu in demonic aura. The demonic aura suddenly appeared like a dark cloud and enveloped Kang Xinmu's entire body. Countless ghostly wails and soul howls came from the black demonic aura. It was a sound wave attack that swept towards Kang Xinmu. At the same time, countless corrosive demonic aura directly engulfed Kang Xinmu like a tsunami. The opponent had launched an all-out attack from the start. Kang Xinmu narrowed his eyes. This three-eyed demon spirit was indeed powerful. It knew that it had to unleash its full strength to have a chance of killing Kang Xinmu. Unfortunately, not only could the Great Desolate Devil Sword strengthen Kang Xinmu's attack, but it could also strengthen his defense. Devouring Dragon Mark. The Devouring Dragon Mark was a blood-red devouring power that had merged with the Dragon Scar Blood Pendant's power. This devouring power could devour the opponent's power for one's own use. However, Kang Xinmu did not dare to devour all of the opponent's power. This was because the opponent's power was a little violent. If he devoured all of it, he might not be able to withstand it. The three-eyed demon spirit's attack was no joke. Even though Kang Xinmu had only devoured half of its power, he felt like he was about to lose consciousness. He hurriedly stopped devouring. The remaining power of the opponent's attack completely bombarded Kang Xinmu's black dragon body. However, a blood-red sword light suddenly exploded and appeared outside his divine dragon body, protecting his divine dragon body. That was the Great Desolate Devil Sword. Unfortunately, the Great Desolate Devil Sword had not completely merged with Kang Xinmu. Even if it had, with Kang Xinmu's current cultivation realm, he could not completely block the three-eyed demon spirit's attack with the Great Desolate Devil Sword's power. Almost in an instant, after the Great Desolate Devil Sword had reduced the opponent's power by 30%, the opponent's attack directly landed on Kang Xinmu's divine dragon body. The terrifying corrosive power, even with Kang Xinmu's divine dragon body's resistance, instantly corroded a bloody hole. Instantly, he was seriously injured. I have to finish this quickly. However, if I use the opponent's attack to counterattack now, I will definitely not be able to kill the three-eyed demon spirit. After all, I have only devoured half of its power. I have to lure it to attack me again, then devour half of its power. Only by joining forces can I possibly kill it. Kang Xinmu was extremely calm. Although his body was in unimaginable pain, he did not care. This three-eyed demon spirit, he had to kill it. Otherwise, he would not be able to exchange for a high-grade source dragon martial skill, and he would need more time to earn experience points. Time was extremely precious to him, and he could not waste any of it. Chapter 44-22. It was obvious that the three-eyed demon spirit didn't expect that it wouldn't be able to kill Kang Xinmu in one move. After it unleashed its strongest demonic technique on Kang Xinmu, it immediately turned around to deal with Xiaoyu and Huayu so that it could kill as many as it could. But when it turned around, it discovered that the black dragon warrior it had attacked was still alive. What's going on? The three-eyed demon spirit was dumbfounded, but it still reacted quickly. It could sense that although the black dragon martialist wasn't dead, he was in a seriously injured state. It only needed one more attack to finish off the black dragon martialist. Although it wouldn't have time to deal with the other two girls after killing the black dragon, it was still surprising that the black dragon, who was only at the 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, was able to withstand its full-force attack. This meant that the black dragon was an extremely important existence among the dragon warriors. Once such an existence grew up, it would be a great threat to the void monster race. If it wasn't eliminated, it was very likely that it would become a great threat to the void monster race in the future. Therefore, when the three-eyed demon spirit saw that Kang Xinmu wasn't dead, it immediately regarded him as its greatest enemy. This kid must be killed. Even if it didn't kill the other two girls, it had to kill Kang Xinmu. Otherwise, there would be endless trouble in the future. Just as the three-eyed demon spirit was thinking about this, its next wave of attack erupted. It was a monstrous demonic aura that turned into a demonic storm that enveloped Kang Xinmu at the fastest speed possible. This was an extremely powerful demonic technique. The terrifying demonic technique of the void monster was comparable to a high-grade origin dragon martial technique. When it was unleashed, the demonic aura instantly swept through the entire area and descended upon Kang Xinmu. At this moment, Kang Xinmu had only made the decision to take another attack from the three-eyed demon spirit, but the attack had already arrived. The three-eyed demon spirit's speed was just too fast. It was so fast that Kang Xinmu couldn't react in time. Fortunately, his devouring dragon mark covered his entire body. When the opponent's devil chi storm swept over, Kang Xinmu once again devoured half of the opponent's attack power, and then the other half bombarded Kang Xinmu's body. Even the great wilderness demon rinsing sword did not have time to recover. The power of the great desolate demon sweeping sword had just been shattered. It would take some time for it to gather up again. However, the three-eyed demon spirit did not give Kang Xinmu any time to do so. It immediately launched a storm of attacks. The remaining half of its power condensed into a boundless demonic aura storm and bombarded Kang Xinmu's divine dragon body. Under normal circumstances, Kang Xinmu would have no chance of surviving after suffering two such attacks in a row. If it was any other dragon warrior in the Yuheng district, it would be impossible for them to survive. However, Kang Xinmu was different. This was because, when he took the opponent's attack just now, Kang Xinmu's divine dragon body had already strengthened its resistance to devil chi because of the devouring power. Kang Xinmu had not come into contact with the devil chi power that belonged to the void demons for a while. Therefore, the battle half a month ago did not have any effect on him now. If I had known this earlier, I would have dealt with a fourth heaven intermediate demon spirit first. Kang Xinmu thought to himself. If that was the case, he would not have suffered such a serious injury at all. Of course, it was still okay now. The situation was not so bad that it could not be salvaged. Because of Kang Xinmu's devouring power, his resistance to the devil chi power had suddenly increased to an extremely high level. When the opponent's second attack landed on Kang Xinmu's body, although it was stronger than the first attack, the damage Kang Xinmu suffered was not as serious as the first attack. The Dark Dragon Art of Filth resistance quickly took effect and healed Kang Xinmu's serious injuries. At the same time, when the opponent's second attack landed, his injuries only worsened by 30%. It was not enough to completely kill him. His black dragon body was like a steel fortress that could not be broken no matter what, flying proudly in the center of the battlefield. I've already devoured the power of the two attacks. I'm going to attack now. After devouring half of the opponent's second attack, Kang Xinmu did not think and immediately attacked the three-eyed demon spirit. The three-eyed demon spirit launched its second attack. Before it could discover that Kang Xinmu was still alive, it was faced with an even stronger explosion of devil chi. The wave of devil chi that Kang Xinmu released was the combination of the three-eyed demon spirit's previous two attacks. The vast devil chi sea and the violent devil chi storm intertwined with each other and descended in front of the three-eyed demon spirit at an extremely terrifying speed. The three-eyed demon spirit's reaction was considered very fast, but it did not immediately discover that the devil chi power was used by Kang Xinmu to attack it. It was only a little confused. Didn't it just release this power on its own? Why did it reappear in the battlefield now? However, it quickly sensed that something was wrong. Its reaction speed was not slow, but Kang Xinmu's counterattack this time came from its own attack. Its attack speed was too fast. By the time the three-eyed demon spirit sensed that something was wrong, it was already too late to dodge. The endless devil chi sea and devil chi storm rolled over from the void and completely drowned it in an instant. At the same time, Great Desolate Devil Sword. Ask flowers but don't speak Crimson River. Heaven-splitting ice slash. The attacks of Kang Xinmu and the other two also erupted at this moment and descended on the three-eyed demon spirit. The eruption of the three attacks instantly shook away the devil chi in the battlefield. The battlefield that was originally covered by the devil chi suddenly became clear, and the dragon martialists outside could see the situation clearly. This is impossible. When they saw the situation clearly, everyone was dumbfounded, especially Chu Qingyun, who was hiding in the crowd, who screamed involuntarily. No one had expected to see such an outcome in front of them. They had originally thought that given the three-eyed demon spirit's strength, it could completely crush one of them and force the other two to give up. However, it seemed that they had been too naive. The three-eyed demon spirit's three eyes were each struck by the attacks of Kang Xinmu and the other two. Its three eyes instantly exploded. It did not seem to have put up any defenses, and it was blasted apart by the attacks of Kang Xinmu and the other two. Its entire body seemed to have been shattered, and it disintegrated in the training field, turning into a corroded piece of pitch-black debris. The three-eyed demon spirit had been completely destroyed. That terrifying 600-meter-long demon body had actually been completely shattered. This scene completely exceeded the imagination of the dragon martialists outside. This was impossible. Chapter 44-23. The three-eyed demon spirit was a rather powerful bloodline among the void demons. With this bloodline, once it broke through to become a three-eyed demon general, it would be the most difficult opponent among the void demons. Someone had once encountered a three-eyed demon spirit in the training grounds. It was only a second-level rebirth realm lower-rank demon spirit, but it had beaten a Dragon Emperor student from the Fecta region to the point of fleeing like a rat. If he had not forfeited in time, he would have been gravely injured. Of course, students from the Fecta zone would usually send out one person to participate in the challenge, but even so, the disparity in strength was still very obvious. The three-eyed demon spirit was about one level stronger than void demons of the same level. If it was a three-eyed demon general, the difference would be even greater. At this moment, a 5th-level rebirth realm 3-eyed demon spirit had actually been killed by Kang Shinmu's trio on the training grounds. How was this possible? Not to mention Chu Qingyun and the other students, even the Dragon Emperor mentors who were spectating the battle were astonished. This situation was truly unexpected. It should be known that Jiang Shenwu, as the leader of the trio, was naturally recognized as the strongest. He was only a 6th-level rebirth realm cultivator. With this level of cultivation, he could actually kill a 3-eyed demon spirit that was publicly recognized as a 6th-level rebirth realm cultivator. Unbelievable. He had killed an opponent that was a whole level above him. Most importantly, the demonic qi had spread throughout the training grounds at the beginning. Most of the surrounding students had no idea what had happened. How had the 3-eyed demon spirit been killed by Kang Shinmu's trio? The techniques that they had used in the end did not seem to be any different. Xiao Yuhua and the white-dressed girl had both used the same source dragon martial technique, while Kang Shinmu had at most used the great desolate demon sword. What exactly was going on? The 3-eyed demon spirit was so strong, how could they have killed it? Even with speed alone, they should not have been able to catch the 3-eyed demon spirit. How could they have killed it when they could not even touch it? As for what exactly was going on, only a few experts present were able to see it. Of course, they didn't see it, but they felt it. A powerful dragon warrior's perception of power had reached an extremely acute level. For example, some of the Dragon Emperor instructors, as well as Yu Tianchang, Emperor Qin, Feng Ligei, and other top students of the Dragon Martial Academy, could clearly sense the situation. The 3-eyed demon spirit launched 2 violent attacks at Kang Shinmu. However, these 2 attacks failed to kill Kang Shinmu. They only inflicted serious injuries on him. After Kang Shinmu was heavily injured, he immediately devoured his opponent's demonic qi to counterattack, catching the 3-eyed demon spirit off guard. Unable to react in time, the 3-eyed demon spirit was struck by its own 2 powers. In this situation, the 3-eyed demon spirit was heavily injured, but it wasn't dead yet. However, Xiao Yuhua and the young lady in the white dress immediately followed up with their attacks. The 2 women's attacks didn't seem to be any different from before. In comparison, the young lady in the white dress's sky-shattering ice slash was much more powerful. After all, she had broken through to the first tier of the rebirth tribulation state, and the frost attribute power in her body already possessed the characteristics of the rebirth power. This made her attack power even stronger. It was almost like a transformation. Combined with the power of the Great Wilderness Demon Vanquishing Sword, Kang Shinmu's attack directly blasted the already heavily injured 3-eyed demon spirit into pieces. In reality, the attacks of the 3 were only embellishments, or rather, a foil. The main power that truly killed the 3-eyed demon spirit was the 2 types of demonic qi that came from its own body. In order to quickly kill Kang Shinmu, the 3-eyed demon spirit immediately unleashed its strongest demonic technique. Unfortunately, this strongest demonic technique was devoured by Kang Shinmu and killed the 3-eyed demon spirit itself. The 3-eyed demon spirit's guess was right. If Kang Shinmu were to develop and mature, he would definitely become a great enemy of the void beasts. However, it was a pity that it had no way of sending this news back to its tribe. After killing the 3-eyed demon spirit, Kang Shinmu would definitely rise to become an even stronger existence. Kang Shinmu felt that if he met such an opponent again, it would be impossible for him to even be seriously injured. This was because he planned to cultivate a high-grade source dragon martial technique, next. In the field, Kang Shinmu did not care about how amazed the people outside were. He directly requested to deal with the next one. That was the limit of Yuheng District students, a 6th-level reincarnation tribulation realm middle-rank demon spirit. Any one of them would be comparable to the 3-eyed demon spirit just now, or perhaps even stronger. Of course, Kang Shinmu could even kill the 3-eyed demon spirit, so it should not be a problem for him to deal with another opponent of similar strength. However, when the crowd looked at the field, it was obvious that Kang Xinmu was now seriously injured. His entire body was drenched in blood, and his flesh was flying everywhere. This was a serious injury caused by the demonic cheese corrosion. Although he was recovering relatively quickly, was it really possible for him to deal with a 6th-level reincarnation tribulation realm middle-rank demon spirit? This is challenging the limit. This is not the first time that we students have challenged the limit. However, it is the first time that students from Yuheng District have done so. Do you guys think that Kang Xinmu can pass? I think it's already set. Even the three-eyed demon spirit is no match for him. Even if a 6th-level reincarnation tribulation realm middle-rank demon spirit comes, so what? That's right. No one can do anything to Kang Xinmu anymore. Many people outside the field were discussing spiritedly. Some students from Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy, who were originally worried that Kang Xinmu would become too strong and compete with them for their spots, now sighed inwardly and shook their heads. They could not compare to such a genius at all. Even if he snatched their spots in the Migres district and Fekta district, they could only accept it. The current Kang Xinmu could even be said to be able to deal with a 1st-level reincarnation tribulation realm Dragon Emperor. However, in the Dragon Martial continent, the older generation of Dragon Emperors were basically at the 7th-level reincarnation tribulation realm and above. Only some geniuses and elites from Dragon Martial Academy would have a 1st-level reincarnation tribulation realm Dragon Emperor, and there were very few of them. Are you alright? Can you continue? Xiao Yuhua could not help but ask with concern. Although she knew that Kang Xinmu recovered very quickly, she was still a little worried when she saw that Kang Xinmu was covered in fresh blood. She felt that it was a rather ghastly sight. She did not even dare to think of such a battle method. Risking his own injuries to kill his opponent. It was too amazing. Kang Xinmu's endurance was definitely top-notch in the world. If not, he would not have used such a battle method. No problem. Kang Xinmu nodded and answered affirmatively. His injuries looked very serious now, but in fact, they were almost healed. He had already devoured a demon king's demon core. Basically, he was only left with superficial wounds that looked very serious. Chapter 44-24. A somewhat fat 6th-level rebirth tribulation realm demon spirit appeared in front of Kang Xinmu's group of 3. When this fat demon spirit appeared, many people's expressions changed slightly. This fellow looked like the type with extremely thick skin and thick flesh. Chu Qingyun, who was originally extremely depressed after Kang Xinmu killed the three-eyed demon spirit, was instantly overjoyed when he saw this fat demon spirit. This was because this was a defense-type demon spirit. Kang Xinmu had just killed the three-eyed demon spirit, which was truly beyond Chu Qingyun's expectations. This made him extremely depressed, but this was already the result that Mentor Dragon Emperor had arranged for Kang Xinmu. If it wasn't for Mentor Dragon Emperor's arrangement for Kang Xinmu's opponent would have been even weaker. This time, Kang Xinmu would be facing a defense-type demon spirit. This was clearly the result of Mentor Dragon Emperor's deliberate arrangement. It had to be said that since Mentor Dragon Emperor and Chu Qingyun had arranged for Kang Xinmu to fight, they definitely had some understanding of Kang Xinmu's fighting style. It was obvious that Kang Xinmu's fighting style was to rely on his extremely strong defense to resist all of his opponent's attacks. As for Kang Xinmu's group of 3's fighting style, they basically needed Kang Xinmu to devour his opponent's power and then counterattack. Otherwise, it was basically impossible for the 3 of them to kill a demon spirit with their own strength. Previously, when they fought against a low-rank demon spirit, it was a defense-type demon spirit. Kang Xinmu's group of 3 seemed to have a hard time winning. But now, Kang Xinmu was going to face a 6th-level rebirth tribulation realm demon spirit, and it was a defense-type demon spirit. In this case, how could Kang Shinmu's group of 3 kill this demon spirit? Even if they gave Kang Shinmu and the other 2 unlimited energy, it would be impossible to break through the defense of this intermediate devil spirit. Among the 3 of them, even if Kang Shinmu obtains the Great Wilderness Devil Rinsing Sword and can use the power of the Great Wilderness Devil Rinsing Sword, it's not a big deal. Don't worry. That white dragon has broken through to the first tier of the reincarnation tribulation realm, but compared to this devil spirit, it's still 5 tiers lower. It's basically impossible for it to break through its defenses. There's also a fire dragon. Its strength hasn't changed, and the dragon martial skill it is using is still the same origin dragon martial skill, so it isn't much of a threat. Even if the 3 of them joined forces, they still wouldn't be able to kill that middle-rank devil spirit. This was the speculation of everyone present. But what was the truth? Many people were looking forward to the results. It was obvious that Kang Shinmu had disappointed everyone too many times. Many people were used to thinking that Kang Shinmu would definitely lead the team to create a miracle. Do it. When he saw the fat devil spirit, Kang Shinmu attacked without any hesitation. He probably felt that someone seemed to be targeting the 3 of them. If the 3 of them hadn't been prepared, it would have been really difficult to kill this devil spirit. After all, the defensive devil spirit of the 6th tier of the reincarnation tribulation realm. Its defensive ability was too strong. To kill it, it was definitely not something that could be done in a short time. Even now, Kang Shinmu didn't plan to kill it quickly. He could only wear it down bit by bit. Fortunately, Xiao Yuhua had now mastered the advanced origin dragon martial skill and cultivated it to the peak. Moreover, Kang Shinmu could continue to deepen the degree of compatibility with the Great Wilderness Devil Rinsing Sword during the battle. Perhaps, I can reach a higher degree of compatibility with the Great Wilderness Devil Rinsing Sword in this battle? Kang Shinmu was looking forward to it. Anyway, the appearance of an attack-type devil spirit was not difficult for Kang Shinmu. As for the defensive-type devil spirit, if it was only at the 6th tier of the reincarnation tribulation realm, Kang Shinmu also had a way to deal with it. At this moment, the fat devil spirit had just appeared, and a burst of devil chi erupted from all over its body. This burst of devil chi spread to the surroundings. This was a devil technique. As the devil chi spread to the surroundings, Kang Shinmu and Xiao Yuhua quickly felt something strange. They felt that when the devil chi approached the divine dragon's body, it seemed to be able to make the divine dragon's body fall into a state of withering and powerlessness. This was actually a dragon martial skill that weakened the opponent. At the same time, the 3 of them directly attacked. Void Dragon Sky-Piercing Strike. Great Wilderness Devil Rinsing Sword. Kang Shinmu's 6 blood-red dragon breaths directly erupted from the void, broke through the devil chi along the way, and landed on the fat devil spirit. Ask a flower but don't speak, the river turns red. Xiao Yuhua was not in a hurry. She had just cultivated the high-grade origin source dragon martial skill, Phoenix Dance of the 9 Heavens, to the peak of the heaven tier. There was no need to use it so early. This could be used as a trump card at a critical moment. Unless it was necessary, she would not use this move in public. Of course, if there was no other way, she had to use it. No matter what kind of trump card it was, it had to be able to bring benefits to herself. Now that she had killed the 6th tier devil spirit, she could get more experience points, and her overall strength would become stronger. It was not a big deal to expose her trump card. The red flame that filled the sky swept over, and the fat devil spirit was engulfed in it. This was followed by the white-dressed girl's ice-splitting sky-breaking slash. A cold saber light fell from the sky, and instantly slashed at the fat devil spirit. At this moment, the trio's attacks landed on the fat middle-rank devil soul's body at almost the same time. Immediately, a burst of incomparably dense demon energy sputtered. However, the trio quickly discovered that after the demon energy sputtered, the fat middle-rank devil soul didn't suffer any damage. The thick layer of devil chi on its surface was its protective layer. It was almost unimaginably rich. This time, the three people's joint attack could not even break through 1% of it. So strong. Kang Xinmu could not help but sigh. This sixth-tier devil spirit did have some means. Wasn't its defense too strong? Which immoral person had captured it from the void crack? Using this kind of devil spirit to test the students of Yuheng district. This was really too much. It was impossible for anyone to break its defense. However, Kang Xinmu still had a way. He was not in a hurry because he was different from ordinary students. Not only could he recover his strength, but he could also help Xiao Yuhua and Xiao Yuhua recover their strength. As long as he kept wearing down the opponent's devil chi defense, he would be able to kill this fat devil spirit sooner or later. Xiao Yuhua, there's no need to hide. The intensity of our attack is nothing to it. Before we launch the next attack, its devil chi will be completely restored. Kang Xinmu said quickly. Xiao Yuhua also nodded. Looking at the incomparably thick layer of devil chi dissipating from the fat devil spirit's body, she felt a little depressed. This kind of opponent really could not arouse any interest in her. However, the attacks of the three people just now had caused the devil chi on the surface of the fat devil spirit's body to dissipate slightly, and it quickly recovered. Chapter 44-25. After Kang Xinmu's reminder, Xiao Yuhua immediately made up her mind. Phoenix dance burns the 9 heavens. Immediately afterward, Xiao Yuhua's crimson divine dragon body blossomed with phoenix-like flames, and an explosive power swept out at this moment. Together with Kang Xinmu and the white-dressed girl's dragon martial technique, they attacked the fat middle-rank demon spirit together. The combined strength of the three of them was already comparable to that of a dragon warrior student from the Fecta zone. When they unleashed their combined strength, the dense devilish chi on the surface of the fat intermediate devil spirit was instantly dispersed. And most importantly, after Xiao Yuhua unleashed the Phoenix Dance Burns the 9 Heavens dragon martial technique, the fat middle-rank demon spirit was bombarded head-on, and its defense against fire attribute power was greatly weakened. Similar to Kang Xinmu's devouring power, the Phoenix Dance Burns the 9 Heavens dragon martial technique would corrode the opponent's fire attribute resistance when attacking. In other words, Xiao Yuhua's subsequent attacks would become more and more fatal to the fat middle-rank demon spirit. Continue, don't stop. Kang Xinmu shouted, and all the power in his body burst out. The devouring power condensed into a blood-red color and burst out. He could devour the opponent's power for his own use, which of course included the opponent's protective demonic aura. Even for Kang Xinmu, devouring the protective demonic aura was a rather slow thing to do. But combined with Xiao Yuhua's attack, it could definitely speed up the process of getting rid of the fat middle-rank demon spirit. There was also the white-dressed girl's ice-splitting heaven-breaking slash. She had broken through to the reincarnation tribulation realm, and the ice attribute power combined with Xiao Yuhua's Phoenix Dance Burns the 9 Heavens could produce a strange effect, causing the fat middle-rank demon spirit to suffer more damage. In just a short moment, the combined power of the three had destroyed more than 10% of the protective demonic aura around the fat middle-rank demon spirit. Such a situation shocked all the dragon martial artists who were watching the battle. The three of them finally erupted. Kang Xinmu's innate ability is able to directly devour the devil chi protecting the body of that devil. The laughing language flower's Phoenix Dance Burning the 9 Heavens could corrode the opponent's fire resistance, causing the opponent to suffer more and more severe burns. As for the white-dressed girl, she used an ice-type attack to complement the laughing language flower's Phoenix Dance Burning the 9 Heavens, causing the opponent's demonic chi to be immediately burned after enduring the extreme cold, creating a stimulating effect of cracking. All kinds of methods were used at once, causing the fat devil's soul to roar in anger. It could feel that its protective demonic energy was constantly being consumed. If this continued, it was very likely that it would die here. At first, it didn't take Kong Xinmu and the other two seriously. After all, their cultivation bases were too low. But now, this fat middle-rank demon spirit knew that it was facing an extraordinary opponent. After roaring, it finally launched a counterattack. A wave of devil chi surged and spread out from the void. Then, endless devil chi condensed into a long, pitch-black claw that extended out from the void and shrouded Kong Xinmu and the other two. The void claws were about to wrap around the three of them. This was a control-type demonic technique. As long as Kong Xinmu and the other two were restrained, the shattered protective demonic energy of the fat devil soul could quickly recover. However, when those long void claws appeared, a blood-red devouring power immediately greeted them, enveloping those pitch-black void claws. Devour! Kong Xinmu erupted with a terrifying power. The dragon mark blood pendant reflected a blood-red glow on his black dragon body, devouring all the power of those void claws. Although it was the power of a 6th-level Samsara realm middle-rank demon spirit, it was only a control-type power and not an offensive power. Therefore, Kong Xinmu could completely devour it. Then, counterattack. These void claws appeared out of thin air and swept towards the fat middle-rank devil soul, binding his pitch-black body tightly. Countless devil claws prevented the fat middle-rank devil soul from moving at all. Kill. Kong Xinmu was pleasantly surprised to find that the power of the opponent's void claws had a certain corrosive effect. This effect slowly corroded the protective demonic energy on the surface of the fat devil soul's body. The corrosive effect was not strong, but the most important thing was that the other party's protective demonic energy could not recover on its own. It really is a counterattack talent. Many dragon martialists watched this scene with complicated expressions. This counterattack talent was too powerful. It could actually counterattack the opponent's power. Didn't this mean that Kong Xinmu was invincible no matter who he met? Unfortunately, their guesses were all wrong, as Kong Xinmu and the other two continued to attack and counterattack with the power of the devil soul. The situation of the devil soul became worse and worse. The protective demonic energy on the surface of its body was rapidly worn away. Such a situation caused the surrounding dragon warriors to sigh one after another. It seemed that this fat defensive devil soul couldn't do anything to Kong Xinmu. Wasn't this Kong Xinmu too strong? Jiang Xinwu had actually succeeded in challenging their limits. Furthermore, it was against an opponent that they were the least adept at dealing with. If it had been an attack-type void beast instead, it would probably have been completely destroyed by Jiang Xinwu's counterattack. In comparison, Kong Xinmu really wasn't afraid of attack-type void devils at all. On the contrary, he felt that defensive opponents were more troublesome. Damn it! What the hell is going on? At this moment, seeing that the fat devil soul situation was getting worse and worse, Chu Qingyun, who was hiding in the crowd, was on the verge of breaking down. He knew very well that Kong Xinmu's weakness was that he didn't have a strong offensive ability. But now it seemed that his offensive ability wasn't strong. How could a Yuheng district student have such a terrifying offensive ability? Just based on these offensive methods, Kong Xinmu and the other two were qualified to challenge Yuheng district students. It was even possible that they could all step into Yuheng district. In a short period of time, Kong Xinmu and the other two seemed to have undergone a qualitative change. Of course, what Chu Qingyun didn't know was that Kong Xinmu had always been strong. This time, it was only because he was compatible with the great desolate demon sword that he erupted with the effect of the devouring power. No matter how much Chu Qingyun couldn't believe it, the truth was placed in front of him. This caused his mentality to break down. Originally, he had secretly arranged for Kong Xinmu to fail in his challenge. Then, it wouldn't be considered a huge loss of face for him. In the future, Zhuo Xiaofan would continue to nurture him, but now, Chapter 44-26. Chu Qingyun was in despair. After this incident, Xiaofan would no longer continue to nurture him. He would have to give all the experience points he obtained from this trial to mentor Dragon Emperor. He would have nothing left for himself. Although the experience points had not been distributed yet, he could still obtain a lot of experience points as someone who could lead a team to challenge the 5th level of the Reincarnation Tribulation Realm. It was at least equivalent to the amount he could obtain in the next 3 to 5 years. This amount was not considered much. After all, he had Xiaofang's support, so he did not need to worry about any cultivation resources. However, without Xiaofang's support, it was impossible for Chu Qingyun to obtain so many cultivation resources in a short period of time. Following this, Chu Qingyun's strength would stagnate for a long period of time. He did not even know if Xiaofang would make things difficult for him. As for not fulfilling the agreement and giving the experience points to mentor Dragon Emperor, that was purely impossible. Chu Qingyun only lacked some cultivation resources now, but if this matter was known by the outside world, his entire person would be destroyed. Who would allow him to do such a thing? Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy would definitely not compromise, and Xiaofang from Donghuang Yangwu College would not protect him either. His fate could be imagined. Therefore, the experience points had to be given to mentor Dragon Emperor. Chu Qingyun had no other choice. At this moment, Chu Qingyun looked at the battlefield with a dull expression. He watched as the fat middle-rank devil spirit's protective demonic aura became fainter and weaker under the joint attack of Kong Xinmu and the other two. He was looking forward to the fat middle-rank devil spirit exploding once and directly killing Kong Xinmu, but this was undoubtedly just his extravagant hope. Not long after, the situation on the battlefield was settled. The fat middle-rank devil spirit was already at a disadvantage, not to mention that its demonic technique had been counterattacked by Kong Xinmu. It was unable to mobilize all its demonic aura and even caused its protective demonic aura to lose its natural recovery speed. In this way, the disadvantage was even more severe. The fat middle-rank devil spirit was in despair. It was not trained to fight alone. In the end, it was caught and brought to this place. Other than being able to passively resist, it really had no other ability. After about an hour, the protective demonic aura on the surface of the fat middle-rank devil spirit was finally completely destroyed. In the next instant, a torrential barrage of attacks rained down on his demonic body. Although his demonic body wasn't weak, under the barrage of attacks from Jiang Shenwu and the other two, it continued to explode and shatter, dying not long after. As the fat middle-rank devil spirit was killed by Kong Xinmu and the other two, a round of applause erupted outside the battlefield. At this moment, the students of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy were all congratulating Jiang Shenwu at this moment. Some of them, who were originally worried that Jiang Shenwu would steal his position, were now full of admiration for Jiang Shenwu. With such talent and battle prowess, Jiang Shenwu was a super genius of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. He should occupy a sufficiently high position. As for the students from the other 3 academies, their expressions were ugly. After all, this was an honor that belonged to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy actually had a team from the Yuheng district that challenged the limits of strength and succeeded. This was also the only team that managed to obtain the limit reward. As for those in the Migres district and above, there was no one who managed to reach the limit. Even a genius like Wu Machen could not challenge the limit. When Kong Xinmu brought the 2 girls out, his body was still intact. He was not injured at all. Kong Xinmu's injuries had completely recovered from the battle with the fat middle-rank devil spirit. Congratulations! The beautiful teacher in the red dress, Dragon Emperor, welcomed them. She gave Kong Xinmu and the other 2 an appreciative smile. Kong Xinmu, you are indeed amazing. So far, only your team has completed the limit experience. This experience will end in a few days. I believe that you will become even stronger after obtaining those experience points. It's all thanks to teacher's help. Kang Xinmu did not dare to be arrogant in front of his teacher. Although he looked very impressive now, his actual strength was still far from being comparable to a powerhouse. For example, the teacher in the red dress before him could kill him in one move. Therefore, he was still very polite to his teacher. Moreover, Kang Xinmu had a very polite personality to begin with. His thanks made the teacher in the red dress smile even more beautiful. After Kang Xinmu brought the two girls out, he rested at the side. During this period, many students from Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy came over to befriend Kang Xinmu, as well as Xiao Yu and Hua Machen. The three of them also responded casually. Someone is going to challenge the limit again. Before long, before Kang Xinmu's matter was finished being discussed, another piece of news spread. The people who appeared in the training field were Liang Xiao and Ran Ran's team of 5 from Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy like Kang Xinmu. As expected. When Kang Xinmu saw this scene, he instantly smiled. In fact, Ran had broken through earlier than the three of them. After arriving here with Liang Xiao and the others, she had not gone up to challenge the limit. Kang Xinmu guessed that Ran did not want to steal his limelight. Therefore, she deliberately went up after Kang Xinmu. This lass, Kang Xinmu did not know whether to laugh or cry. However, no matter what, now that Ran had also gone up, he had to pay attention to her. Many people in the surroundings had doubts about Ran's strength. However, after Kang Xinmu successfully completed the limit challenge, many people did not dare to look down on Ran. After all, Ran and Kang Xinmu had defected from Donghuang Yangwu College. In terms of talent, she should be about the same level as Kang Xinmu. Many people in the training field were looking forward to it. If Ran successfully challenged the limit again, wouldn't Donghuang Yangwu College be embarrassed? The challenge of the Alcade Zone students was to withstand the attacks of the inferior demon's pawn. The number of attacks they could withstand was the highest score. The limit was to withstand 7 attacks from the inferior demon's pawn. Last time, Ran and the others did not reach the limit, but this time, Kang Xinmu was not worried about whether Ran could complete the limit challenge at all. If Kang Xinmu was 90% sure that he could kill the 6th level Reincarnation Tribulation Realm middle level Devil Spirit, then Ran was absolutely 100% sure that she could withstand 7 attacks from the inferior demon's pawn. Kang Xinmu was very confident in the Chaotic Dragon Body Dragon Martial Technique. Although it was only a body-refining dragon martial technique from the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty, if Ran cultivated it to the dragon level, the effect would be completely different. Chapter 44-27. The final result was similar to what Kang Xinmu had imagined. Ran was not afraid of any attacks from the inferior devil soldiers at all. When she broke through one level of cultivation and cultivated her chaotic dragon body to dragon level, it was very difficult for the inferior devil soldiers at the first level of the rebirth tribulation state to hurt her. The most important thing was still the dark dragon filth mastery. Ran's recovery speed in battle was simply too fast. Otherwise, just relying on the dragon-grade chaotic dragon body would not be enough. However, Ran's performance this time caused everyone to be even more shocked and amazed. Kang Xinmu was slightly better. When Kang Xinmu fought, he had the support of Xiao Yuhua and the girl in white. In the final battle, all three of them were equally important. However, on Ran's side, the entire battle was basically Ran's solo performance. Liang Xiao and the three girls only had to watch from the side. Ran could block all the attacks from the inferior devil soldiers alone. No matter how the opponent attacked, she was not afraid. It was obvious that Ran now had defense and recovery abilities that far exceeded the students in the Alcade district. Of course, this was only so eye-catching during the training. The goal of the students in the Alcade district was to survive, so they did not require offensive abilities. The current Ran Rant's offensive ability was still relatively weak. Just relying on the Dark Dragon Filth control was not enough for her to challenge the higher-level students. Therefore, although the spectating students were shocked by Ran Rant's strength, they were not too surprised. In a real battle, defense was only one aspect. The most important thing was to kill the enemy. If one could not kill the enemy, everything else was just empty talk. It was obvious that Ran Ran lacked some effective methods to kill the enemy. During the battle, she had also tried to use the Void Dragon Sky-Raising Break to deal with the inferior Devil Soldier, but it did not hurt at all. It was clear that Ran Rant's offensive ability was still slightly weaker. In any case, she only had to resist the attacks from the low-level demon soldiers in this training mission, so it wasn't too big of a problem. In short, there was still a long way to go before the students of the Urakel Zone would truly enter the battlefield of the Void Rift and fight against the Void monsters, so there was no need to rush. 7 days later, the training of the Void Beasts organized by the 4 academies finally came to an end. In the last 3 days of the trial, the strongest students of the 4 academies, including Yu Tianchang, Emperor Qin, and Feng Ligay, showed everyone what true strength was. As students of the Dragon Martial Academy, they naturally had the right to train. If they could earn some experience points, it would be a waste not to take it. As the core members of the Dubhe district, their opponents were high-rank demon generals. Every high-ranking demon general could be said to have their own special abilities, and they had a wide variety of methods. After watching for 3 days, the Dragon Warrior students who had participated in the trial felt that their methods were nothing more than small tricks in front of such existences. Even Kang Xinmu felt the same way. His methods seemed very strong in front of middle-rank demon spirits, but they were nothing in front of these high-ranking demon generals. Even if he had the same cultivation level as these high-ranking demon generals, he might not be able to crush them. This was because every high-ranking demon general had some special abilities, and their battles were extremely exciting. Even if they completely crushed these high-ranking demon generals in a head-on battle, these high-ranking demon generals had special methods that could last for a very long time. In other words, they had extremely strong life-saving abilities. If one wanted to kill them, it would be impossible to do so without some special means. When the trial was announced to be over, all the remaining Void monsters in this training ground were wiped out. Originally, these Void monsters were imprisoned to be used to train the students of the 4 Dragon Martial Academies. But now that the trial was over, there was no need for them to exist anymore. Almost all the students of the 4 Dragon Martial Academies gathered in this starry sky after the trial was over. Then, a ball of flames appeared in the void, and the cry of a phoenix bloomed in the dark void, blocking the extremely hideous void crack in the distant starry sky. A rather slender Inferno Divine Dragon flew out from the flames. Its body was thousands of feet long, and it spanned across the void. Endless flames burned on its body, making it impossible for people to see its actual body. This is a Supreme Divine Dragon. Everyone present was a little shocked. It was the first time most of them had seen the appearance of a Supreme Divine Dragon, or rather, its body. After all, they could only see the rough outline of an Inferno Divine Dragon. They couldn't see its actual appearance at all. However, the suffocating aura of the Supreme Divine Dragon in front of them made everyone in the field nervous. The blood in their bodies seemed to be boiling along with the aura. Emperor Shi. In the field, the students from the 4 Dragon Martial Academies, as well as all the Dragon Emperor instructors, all bowed to the Supreme Divine Dragon at this moment. Their voices were extremely respectful. Obviously, these people had seen the existence of the Supreme Divine Dragon before. That's Emperor Shi. Kang Xinmu's expression changed slightly. Looking at the outline of the Inferno Divine Dragon from afar, he only felt that the flames were simply too beautiful. It was an indescribable feeling. Emperor Shi was the Divine Dragon the creator of Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Arts Academy, and also Yu Yaji's immediate superior. Its status was equivalent to the Blue Sky Dragon of Calamity of Donghuang Yangwu College. In front of Emperor Shi, people like Xiaofan were completely insignificant. It could be seen how distinguished his status and strength were. We don't have much time. Make a long story short. A clear and ethereal female voice came from the void and spread throughout the field. The void demons are invading. We, the dragon martial artists, are responsible for blocking the demons outside. We hereby hold this trial. In this trial, many talented juniors have emerged. I am very pleased. Each of you will be able to obtain the required trial points. I hope that you can grow faster and become the main force in fighting against the void demons. The voice was sonorous and powerful, but it was not loud. It seemed to directly hit the hearts of everyone present, deeply affecting them. Hearing this, a voice suddenly came from the field. It was Kong Xinmu. He asked loudly, "Emperor Shi." This time, the void demons appeared from the crack. Could it be that even people as strong as you are unable to seal the crack in the void? You are Kong Xinmu. Emperor Shi seemed to have noticed Kong Xinmu. The eyes of the divine dragon in the flames glanced in Kong Xinmu's direction. Chapter 44-28. That's right. Once a spatial tear is formed, it is irreversible. Emperor Shi's dignified voice resounded through the void and entered everyone's ears. Therefore, in the future, the martial dragon continent will face many hardships. Currently, the void demons are unable to invade the martial dragon continent. However, if you can't rise up, then the void demons will invade the martial dragon continent sooner or later. Everyone understood what Emperor Shi was saying. Once a spatial tear was formed, it was irreversible. It couldn't be sealed, and it couldn't be repaired. Therefore, the void demons would continuously invade the martial dragon continent. However, there was a protective barrier between the spatial tear and the martial dragon continent. That protective barrier was jointly set up by the peerless divine dragons. For a period of time, the void demons wouldn't be able to break through this protective barrier. However, if the students of the Martial Dragon Academy couldn't rise up in the future, then they wouldn't be able to stop the void demons from invading the protective barrier. In that case, there would be a day when the protective barrier would be completely destroyed by the void demons. At that time, it would be a calamity for all living things. Currently, only the students of the Martial Dragon Academy were qualified to know about this. Many of the Dragon Emperor kingdoms in the Martial Dragon continent didn't know about this yet, but it was only a matter of time before they found out. The peerless divine dragons couldn't guard the spatial tear forever. Therefore, when the peerless divine dragons left, the entire Martial Dragon continent would have to face the enemy together. During this process, in order to ensure that the students of the Martial Dragon Academy would be prioritized and receive more cultivation resources, they would be allowed to familiarize themselves with the void demons. As for the Dragon Emperor kingdoms in the Martial Dragon continent, they didn't have enough resources or time to familiarize themselves with the void demons. In the eyes of the peerless divine dragons, those ordinary Dragon Emperor kingdoms were at most cannon fodder. Only the students of the Martial Dragon Academy would have the ability to stand on their own. No matter what, now that the Martial Dragon continent was facing a crisis, it was no wonder that Emperor Shi personally showed up to encourage the students. The experience points have been distributed to the various Martial Dragon Academies. Everyone, please return and use these points to exchange for the cultivation resources you need. The earlier you become stronger, the earlier you rise, the more chances you will have to obtain more cultivation resources, improve faster than others, and become stronger dragon martial artists. After Dragon God Emperor Shi finished speaking, his gaze seemed to linger on Kong Xinmu for a while. Then, with the flames filling the sky, he disappeared into the void. He only left behind a shocking aura that lingered for a long time. No one dared to speak for a long time. Everyone, go back. After a long while, a few of the Dragon Emperor instructors sighed and said a few words to the students of their respective academies. They knew quite a lot about this matter. It seemed like the invasion of the Void Demons had been foreshadowed, but they didn't expect it to happen so quickly and were caught off guard. As of now, the students of the Dragon Force Academy had yet to rise up, or rather, not enough of them had risen up. Even Yu Tiansheng, Qin Tianzi, and Feng Ligei, who were the top students in the Tianshu district, couldn't survive in the void cracks. They needed a lot of cultivation resources to become stronger. Let's go back first and exchange for the Dragon Origin martial skill. Kang Xinmu couldn't wait. With the experience points, most of the students would choose to exchange them for heavenly treasures to raise their cultivation and increase the Dragon Mark energy faster. In the Dragon Force Academy, other than absorbing the Dragon Mark energy, there were also supreme treasures that contained the Dragon Mark energy. These supreme treasures were also a type of cultivation resource. However, these cultivation resources weren't of much use in normal times. After all, the price to exchange for them was high and the effects weren't very good. If the experience points obtained from the 7 days of training were used to exchange for cultivation resources, it would only save a dragon martial artist 7 days of time to absorb the Dragon Mark energy. In other words, it would be a waste of time. It would be better to just stay in the Dragon Force Academy and absorb the Dragon Mark energy. But now, the experience of the Void Monsters was different. In just a short month, the majority of the students could obtain experience points that would take years to obtain. Some of the students whose divine dragon blood essence had reached the Dragon King level and were very close to the Dragon Emperor level were likely to exchange for cultivation resources that contained the Dragon Mark energy. All of a sudden, he had saved several years of hard work. In other words, they could break through to the Dragon Emperor level in an instant and complete the greatest transformation of a dragon martial artist's cultivation. No matter what, Kang Xinmu wouldn't exchange for such cultivation resources. Even if he wasn't the Dragon Emperor, it wouldn't be too difficult for him to deal with the Dragon Emperor. Ordinary Dragon Emperors at the first or second stage of the reincarnation tribulation realm were no longer his match. When he exchanged for a high-grade origin dragon martial skill and succeeded in cultivating it, even a third-stage reincarnation tribulation realm dragon emperor wouldn't be his match. He would be able to face such an existence head-on. As long as that was the case, he would definitely be able to enter the core area in the upcoming Academy tournament and have more Dragon Mark energy to absorb. In that case, there was no need for him to be in a hurry. The demand for origin dragon martial skills shouldn't be high. After all, although many people have obtained quite a lot, it's still not enough to exchange for a high-grade origin dragon martial skill. As for me, I might be able to exchange for 2 high-grade origin dragon martial skills. After all, I haven't exchanged for an origin dragon martial skill since joining Emperor Shi Academy. The first time I exchange for an origin dragon martial skill, there will be a certain discount. Kang Xinmu thought in his heart. In the following period of time, all the students of Dragon Martial Academy would rapidly improve together. This was a leap for all the students of the 4 great Dragon Martial Academies. Perhaps only one person wouldn't be able to enjoy this leap, and that was Donghuang Yangwu Academy's Chu Qingyun. However, this guy could be considered to have reaped what he had sown. Now, he could only watch as others rapidly improved while he could only give his reward points to the Dragon Emperor of another academy. This made Chu Qingyun so angry that he was about to die. So many experience points, it's simply too awesome. Yeah. For a moment, I don't know how to use them. With so many experience points, it can at least double my strength. If we use these experience points well, it's possible for our strength to increase by 2 times. There's less than half a year left before the next Academy tournament. We have to make the best use of our time. After all the students of Dragon Martial Academy returned to their respective academies, they were incomparably busy. The busiest one was the Dragon Emperor of the Experience Points Exchange Office. Because he couldn't handle it alone, he temporarily transferred other Dragon Emperor instructors to help him. Chapter 44-29. Kong Shinmu went to the Source Dragon Martial Technique Collection at the Experience Points Exchange Office alone. This was an independent room. Now, there was a Dragon Emperor mentor guarding it. "It's quiet here." Kong Shinmu heaved a sigh of relief as soon as he entered. When he first entered the Experience Points Exchange Office, it could be said to be a sea of people. The hall, which was not big to begin with, was filled with Dragon Martial Artist students who came to exchange for cultivation resources. When those Dragon Martial Artist students saw Kong Shinmu coming over, they all came up to greet him. Their enthusiasm was too much for him to handle. It couldn't be helped. During this experience points, Kong Shinmu had been in the limelight too much. Not to mention Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. Even if he went to the South Emperor and the desolate North Dragon Martial Academies, there would be many people who admired him. Therefore, Kong Shinmu ran inside as if he was fleeing. Soon, he arrived at the place where he could exchange for the Dragon Martial Technique. It's quiet, but it's also quite boring. When he heard Kong Shinmu's words, he immediately heard a soft voice. He looked in the direction of the voice and saw a beautiful woman dressed in revealing clothes. She was in the room trimming her nails in boredom. At the same time, she looked at Kong Shinmu curiously and said, "You are that Kong Shinmu? I heard that even Emperor Shi personally answered your question." Cough, cough. Kong Shinmu did not think that this was a big deal. He immediately replied, "Hello, mentor. Emperor Shi is very easygoing, right? No matter who asks a question, Emperor Shi will answer them. That's different. If others ask a question, Emperor Shi will just answer them. But you," the beautiful woman laughed softly and said, "Emperor Shi personally called out your name. It can be seen that you are different from others. And now, you are indeed different. Others are not interested in the Dragon Martial Technique, but you want to exchange for the Source Dragon Martial Technique?" "That's right." Kong Shinmu could only nod. Now, things were different from usual. Many Dragon Emperor teachers who were cultivating in seclusion had come out. For example, this beautiful teacher in revealing clothes in front of him. Kong Shinmu did not know who she was. He had never seen her before. In the Dragon Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy, many of the Dragon Emperor instructors were beautiful women. Basically, 9 out of 10 of them were women. This was similar to the ratio of students. "I want to find some high-level body refining dragon martial skills." Kong Shinmu asked, "This is my first time exchanging. There should be a discount, right? There are not many people who practice body tempering dragon martial techniques. Hence, the amount of experience points required is not much." The beautiful instructor said, "Furthermore, Emperor Shi personally instructed that if you choose to exchange for a dragon martial technique this time, you will be given 2 dragon martial techniques. You can choose 2 different types." Is there such a thing?" Kong Shinmu was a little surprised. "It's absolutely true." The beautiful instructor giggled and said, "If you choose a body-tempering dragon martial technique, it would be a pity. However, in this case, I can return some experience points to you. You can use them to exchange for cultivation resources." "Thank you, senior," Kong Shinmu said gratefully. "You're welcome. If you want to thank someone, thank Emperor Shi. There aren't many body-refining dragon martial arts techniques in Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy, and most of them aren't suitable for you guys to cultivate. However, there's one that seems to be suitable." Following that, Kong Shinmu followed the beautiful instructor to the place where the body-tempering dragon martial technique was located. There were very few people who came to this place. Furthermore, there were not many body-tempering dragon martial techniques. There were only 5 high-grade body-tempering dragon martial techniques in the entire Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy, and 4 of them were suitable for girls to cultivate. However, the remaining one made Kang Xinmu fall in love with it at first glance. Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique. The name of this body-refining dragon martial technique was extraordinary. Furthermore, looking at the introduction, it was not just a body-tempering dragon martial technique. It could also strengthen the various abilities of dragon martial artists. After mastering the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique, the dragon martial artist could switch between the 3 states of offense, defense, and dexterity. In the offense state, the attacking ability of the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique would be strengthened, and the explosive power would increase greatly. In the defense state, all the power of the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique would be converted to defense. This would strengthen the defense of the dragon martial artist by several times. In addition, the dexterity state used the power of the Tyrant Body Technique to increase the speed of the dragon martial artist. This was the high-level body-refining dragon martial technique that Kang Xinmu needed. Originally, if he specialized in the body-tempering dragon martial technique, he would undoubtedly be lacking in terms of attack. However, after cultivating the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique, as long as he was in the offense state, his explosive power would be greatly enhanced. This was what he needed. Furthermore, the defense state could also increase the strength of his body. This was very suitable for Kang Xinmu. I'm sure. I'll take this one. Kang Xinmu said with certainty. Then you better think it through. The beautiful mentor smiled and said, this Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique is extremely difficult to cultivate. Furthermore, it requires a lot of cultivation resources. After all, it is a high-level body-refining dragon martial technique. This level of body-tempering dragon martial technique is extremely difficult to cultivate. Otherwise, why would such a strong dragon martial technique be unsought? The last student of Emperor Shi who chose this Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique was said to have become a super divine dragon. That was decades ago. Even that genius student was said to have spent 10 years to cultivate the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique to the heaven tier. You can imagine the difficulty of cultivating it. Thank you for the reminder, mentor. Kang Xinmu said respectfully. He still took the jade scroll that recorded the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique. Without a doubt, the more difficult it was to cultivate a dragon martial technique, the stronger it was. Kang Xinmu was very sure of this. He had saved up so many experience points to exchange for the strongest dragon martial technique. For this, he had already prepared himself for the difficulty of cultivating it. Furthermore, he cultivated the body-tempering dragon martial technique, which gave him an advantage that others could not hope to achieve. Even if it was that genius student who spent 10 years cultivating the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body art, in terms of cultivating body-refining dragon-type martial techniques, his talent was probably not comparable to Jiang Xinwu's. After all, Kang Xinmu had the talent of devouring. With this talent, his recovery speed could reach the peak. As long as he did not die, as long as he still had a breath left, he could recover quickly. Furthermore, his recovery speed was extremely fast, even faster than the peak heaven tier Dark Dragon Filth Mastery. This was a condition that no one else could compare to. Kang Xinmu believed that he would not need as long as 10 years to cultivate the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique to the peak. Furthermore, now that he had a batch of experience points, it was much easier to obtain various cultivation resources than before. I'll choose another body-tempering dragon martial technique. Chapter 44:30. The dragon movement technique was also something that Kang Xinmu wanted to cultivate. It could be imagined that now that the crack in the void had appeared and the void beasts had invaded this world, as a student of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy, he would most likely participate in the fight against the void beasts. That would definitely not be like this training, where he would be allowed to fight the beasts in a safe place. Instead, he would be brought to the vicinity of the crack in the void to hunt down the void beasts that roamed the void. That was an extremely dangerous operation. Kang Xinmu might encounter the strongest of the void beasts. If that was the case, he would not be a match for the other party at all. Therefore, at this time, the speed of his escape was especially important. As long as he could run fast, he could escape even if he could not defeat the beasts. However, if he did not cultivate the dragon movement technique, he would not be able to escape even if he wanted to. That would be tragic. It was very likely that he would be killed near the crack in the void. For Kang Xinmu, it was useless even if he had the devouring nirvana force. In front of an enemy that was several times stronger than him, his devouring nirvana force would be useless. He could only let the black dragon's consciousness appear at the moment of his death, but that was not what Kang Xinmu wanted. After all, Kang Xinmu still did not understand what the black dragon's consciousness represented. Once the black dragon's consciousness was harmful, the more it appeared, the more danger Kang Xinmu would be in. It was very likely that after the black dragon's consciousness was fully awakened, it would devour Kang Xinmu's consciousness. Kang Xinmu could not come into contact with this kind of danger. Therefore, he tried his best to let the black dragon's consciousness fall into a deep sleep. Even when he broke through his cultivation realm, he would return to the ceiling dragon abyss. That was why the black dragon's consciousness did not appear. Otherwise, every time he broke through, the black dragon's consciousness would appear and devour the nirvana beast. That situation would be very bad for Kang Xinmu. The dragon movement technique. There are many options for me to choose from. The beautiful instructor smiled and led Kang Xinmu to another place where the origin dragon martial skill was stored. There was a total of 14 high-grade origin dragon martial techniques, much more than the body-tempering dragon martial techniques. Every movement dragon martial technique had its own specialties. Unfortunately, among these movement dragon martial techniques, 7 of them were specially prepared for women. Kang Xinmu was unable to cultivate them. He could only choose from the other 7 dragon movement techniques. He deliberated for around 2 hours before finally deciding that the movement dragon martial skill he chose would be called the Blade Shadow Flowing Cloud Flash. Sun Shadow Flowing Cloud Flash was a high-grade dragon martial skill. After practicing this dragon martial skill, it would allow a dragon martial artist to gain the ability to perceive the void. And after successfully practicing this dragon martial skill, one could use this ability to perceive the void to leap in the void. In other words, he could teleport directly in the void. This kind of movement technique that was similar to a dragon's martial technique was extremely difficult to cultivate. It was especially so if one wanted to learn it. It was not that easy. However, Jiang Shenwu believed that his talent was not too bad. What others could learn, he could definitely learn too. It was not to the extent that he could not even get started. And if the Blade Shadow Flowing Cloud Flash was cultivated to the dragon level, or even the heaven level, he could completely survive in the void and disappear from the real world for a period of time. This was an even more heaven-defying method. It was conceivable that Kang Xinmu could rely on this method to sneak into the void. At that time, if he wanted to escape, he could directly sneak into the void. No one would be able to find him, unless it was an existence who also cultivated a similar method to perceive the void. Moreover, his cultivation realm must be much higher than Kang Xinmu's. Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique, Blade Shadow Flowing Cloud Flash. 2 high-grade origin source dragon martial skills. Since you have chosen them, take them and cultivate first. After saying this, the beautiful mentor suddenly said, "Oh right, you have to exchange for 3 special treasures to cultivate the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique. Those treasures are not cheap. Work hard. If you do not have enough experience points, I'm afraid you will not be able to improve your Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique. Of course, the experience points returned to you now are enough for you to cultivate the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique to the entry level and reach the mortal level. The experience points you will need from now on will be even more. It is no less than you need to exchange for another high-grade origin source dragon martial skill. Thank you for the reminder, mentor. Kang Xinmu nodded and took the 2 high-grade origin source dragon martial skills. At the same time, he went outside to exchange for the 3 special cultivation resources that the mentor mentioned. He had never seen these 3 special cultivation resources before. They seemed to be from some kind of demonic beast, but he had not even heard of this kind of demonic beast. No matter what, now that Kang Xinmu had exchanged for 2 high-grade origin source dragon martial skills, the next step was to cultivate them and make a leap in his strength. Work hard. Kang Xinmu knew that he was still a long way from becoming a real powerful dragon martial artist. Therefore, he had to put in more effort to catch up with those geniuses, such as Yu Tianchang, Emperor Qin, and Feng Ligei. If Kang Xinmu did not work hard, he might not be able to catch up with them for the rest of his life. But he had the power of devouring nirvana. As long as he did not slack off, it was only a matter of time before he caught up with them. In fact, Kang Xinmu might even reach the Super Divine Dragon level earlier than them. Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique. I need these 3 cultivation resources at the beginning of my cultivation. Kang Xinmu looked at the 3 cultivation resources in his hand. These 3 cultivation resources were a piece of scale, a hard horn, and a soft tentacle. They all came from the same species of demonic beast, known as the prehistoric tyrant body beast. Kang Xinmu had never heard of this prehistoric tyrant body beast, so it was probably not a species from the dragon martial continent. It was very likely that this prehistoric tyrant body beast came from outside the dragon martial continent, so the divine dragon tyrant body technique was created because of this prehistoric tyrant body beast. There were no such cultivation resources in the dragon martial continent. Only the higher-ups of the Dragon Martial Academy, or even someone like Yu Yaji, the dean, could get resources from other places and provide them to the students who cultivated the divine dragon tyrant body technique. No matter where they come from, I just need to cultivate them first. Kang Xinmu prepared the 3 cultivation resources and placed the scale, hard horn, and tentacle in one place. Then, he covered them with his devouring power and prepared to slowly devour all the energy within. At the same time, he sank his divine sense into the jade scroll that recorded the divine dragon tyrant body technique, to check the key points and techniques that he needed to remember to cultivate the divine dragon tyrant body technique. The cultivation of high-grade source dragon martial techniques mainly relied on comprehension at the beginning, so it was naturally rather boring. While the other Dragon Martial Academy students were starting to break through their cultivation levels and raise the grade of the divine dragon blood essence, Kang Xinmu began the long process of cultivating the dragon martial techniques. Chapter 44-31. 5 months later. Kang Xinmu returned from the Yan Dragon Emperor dynasty and returned to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. To him, these 5 months had been a period of great change. He first used 3 months to cultivate the divine dragon tyrant body technique, and then used 2 months to cultivate the sunset shadow flowing flash. It took him nearly half a year to cultivate the 2 advanced source dragon martial techniques to the human level. However, even if he only cultivated the 2 dragon martial techniques to the human level, it still made his combat power soar. First of all, the strength of his divine dragon body was directly doubled. The successful cultivation of the divine dragon tyrant body technique allowed his divine dragon body's defense to reach a new height. His dragon scales were already attached with the power of the tyrant body, allowing him to resist the opponent's attack with the power of the tyrant body. At the same time, he could already switch between the 3 postures, which were the power attack posture, the defense posture, and the nimble posture. Although it was only the human-level divine dragon tyrant body technique, the benefits of switching between the 3 postures were not too high. It was already enough to more than double his explosive power, defense, and speed. Every move of the advanced Source Dragon martial technique was condensed from the efforts and wisdom of countless senior dragon martial artists. For example, the Phoenix Dance burning the 9 heavens cultivated by Xiao Yuhua could weaken the opponent's fire resistance, which could show extremely terrifying effects in a protracted battle. To be honest, Xiao Yuhua's Phoenix Dance burning the 9 heavens contributed greatly to Kong Xinmu and the other two being able to kill the fat 6th-tier intermediate devil spirit. And now, Kong Xinmu had successfully cultivated the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body technique. Although he was only at the human level, it also more than doubled his combat power. At the same time, the success of cultivating the Sunset Shadow Flowing Flash also allowed him to see the door of the void. He could feel the power of the void and shuttle through the void in a short period of time. Now, Kong Xinmu could stay in the void for a breath's time at most, and he could shuttle a distance of 10,000 feet in one go, which was almost the length of the divine dragon body of 10 Dragon Emperor powerhouses. This distance was enough to escape the attack range of the opponents he would encounter at this stage. However, this was far from enough, because if he were to deal with the void monsters near the void rift, he might encounter existences that far surpassed him. If he wanted to escape, then he would have to cultivate the blade shadow flowing sunset flash to a higher level. Of course, there was no rush. Although it was only a matter of time before they encountered the demonic creatures in the void crack, it was still too early for the students of the Yuheng district. Over the past 5 months, some news had spread from Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. In this year's Academy tournament, there would indeed be some changes to the student zones, and, it wasn't as the rumor said, where the number of students in each zone would be doubled. Instead, it had become 3 times its original size. Originally, there were 3 students in the Heaven Pivot area, but now there were 9. Originally, there were 7 students in the Tianxian section, but now there are 21 students. The Fekta zone and the Migres zone, which used to have 9 and 15 people respectively, had now become 27 and 45 people respectively. Including Yuheng district and Kaiyang district, the quota would be reduced from 15 to 45. In this way, if the first 6 zones were added together, there would be close to 200 people. This had already exceeded the number of students in the entire Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. Therefore, if this was really the case, then all the students in the Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy would be able to leave the Alcade zone. How much Dragon Mark energy has been sent over? Kong Xinmu was a little emotional. The reason for the zones was that the Dragon Mark energy was too little. However, such a change was definitely because the Supreme Divine Dragon had brought more Dragon Mark energy, so that all the students could enjoy more Dragon Mark energy. In addition, it was said that the 4 great Dragon Martial Arts Academies were about to be opened to the public. The requirements to join the Dragon Martial Arts Academy had been lowered, but the age requirement was still the same as before. As long as one was over 30 years old, they would not be able to join the Dragon Martial Arts Academy. Although Kong Xinmu had been cultivating the Dragon Martial Arts technique in seclusion, he had also heard about these rumors. Because of this, Kong Xinmu began to consider how far he could go. It turned out that he was confident that he could join the Migres zone and become a student there. Then his battle prowess would at least be in the top 34 in the Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. Now, the Dubhe zone and Tianxian zone had exactly 30 spots. If I work hard, I might be able to join the Tianxian zone directly. But I heard that the students in the Dubhe and Tianxian zones have to leave the Dragon Martial Continent and head to the Void Camp to fight against the Void monsters. The current me is still not suitable to face the Void monsters head-on. So, I should stabilize the Dubhe zone first. When I reach the Dubhe zone, the speed at which I devour the Dragon Mark energy will be at least twice as fast as the current Yuheng zone. Then, I will charge towards the Dragon Emperor. This was Kong Xinmu's plan. Compared to the others, Kong Xinmu had a very clear goal. He would wait until he became stronger before taking the risk. Before reaching the Tianxian zone, he could still go to the Beast Abyss to earn a huge amount of experience points. Now that the students in the Dubhe zone and Tianxian zone had been forcefully sent to the Void Camp, there were fewer students in the Beast Abyss. If Kang Xinmu were to enter, he would definitely be the strongest. Originally, students like Wu Machan were considered strong in the Beast Abyss. But now, Wu Machan can definitely step into the Tianxian zone and even the Dubhe zone. So, the strongest in the Beast Abyss are the students in the Dubhe zone. When I reach the level of the Dragon Emperor, I can easily dominate the entire Beast Abyss. At that time, it would be easy for Kang Xinmu to earn experience points. The Void monsters from the Void Crack could be said to be an unforeseen event in the Dragon Martial continent. But from this unforeseen event, Kang Xinmu could also find the most suitable path for his own development. After spending 5 months to successfully cultivate the 2 dragon martial techniques, he returned to the Dragon Emperor Empire. Of course, he went through the demonic beast formation in the Boundary Forest. Although it was a little roundabout, it saved Kang Xinmu a lot of time. He couldn't ask Dean Yuyaji for help every time he went back. This time, he successfully broke through to the 7th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm and condensed the Nirvana power again. His current combat strength could be said to have increased by at least 2 or 3 times compared to when he was training in the Void. If he had the same experience as before, he would dare to challenge the 7th level of the Reincarnation Tribulation Realm Superior Devil Spirit. It was a pity that there was only one experience. It was for the sake of students like them to improve quickly. However, the Dubhe zone is not considered too weak. It's not that easy to step into the Tianxian zone. I have improved a lot this time, and so have the others. It's not that easy to enter the top 30 of the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy. After all, I haven't even reached the level of the Dragon Emperor. Kang Xinmu didn't think too much about it. Chapter 44-32. After returning to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy, Kang Xinmu realized that there were many new faces in the academy. The atmosphere in the entire Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy was much more lively than before. New students are here? Kang Xinmu was a little puzzled. He saw some young sacred dragon martial artists flying around. Some were alone, and some were in groups. They were curious about everything around them. These are the new students who just arrived yesterday. There are a total of 100 of them. They are good seedlings that the 3 Dragon Emperor mentors found in Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy a few months ago. A young man in golden armor suddenly appeared beside Kang Xinmu. He smiled and said, "Brother Jiang, although these people are talented, they are still lacking compared to the original students. Aren't we able to enter the core area? Look, the new students can only stay in the Alcade district for now. I heard that we'll have 100 new students every year in the future. If this goes on, the number of students in the Dragon Martial Academy will increase by several times in a few years." The young man in golden armor was Liang Xiao. This kid's strength had increased rapidly recently. The key was his cultivation level. He broke through 3 tiers in one go and reached the 9th tier of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. Even in the previous districts, he could have reached the level of the Yuheng district. Now, he was even more powerful. Of course, after the students had gone through the demonic beast training, each of them had improved a lot. Some geniuses were able to travel between the 2 zones, like Jiang Shenwu. This time, he could definitely enter the Fekta zone directly from the Yuheng zone, bypassing the Migres zone. Liang Xiao could cross from the Alcade district to the Yuheng district, skipping the Kaiyang district. There were also people like Ran who could directly break through from the Alcade district to the Migres district. She was only 1 district lower than Kang Xinmu. This 1 district was a difference of 30 ranks. To put it simply, the current Ran and the previous Kang Xinmu were not far apart in terms of battle prowess. The current Ran Ran had not only reached the 9th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, but she had also cultivated the chaotic dragon body to the heaven tier. Apart from that, she had also exchanged for an attack-type high-grade origin source dragon martial skill. Although she had not successfully cultivated it yet, just by relying on her heaven-level chaotic dragon body, she was able to enter the ranks of the Migres area. After observing for a while, Kang Xinmu realized that the new students of the Dragon Martial Academy basically all had Holy Dragon Legacy blood essence. Logically speaking, a 20-year-old Sheng Long was already considered a top-notch genius in the outside world, but in the Dragon Martial Academy, he was only average. They didn't think so. Kang Xinmu even felt that some of them were a little arrogant. I heard that a few secluded dragon martial artist clans have also sent their good seedlings to our Dragon Martial Academy. We need to pay attention to these clans. Suddenly, Liang Xiao looked at a group of dragon martial artists flying in the distance and said in a low voice, "These secluded dragon martial artist clans have quite a good cultivation environment. They even have quite a lot of dragon mark energy. If it wasn't for the Dragon Martial Academy's enrollment expansion, these clans wouldn't have sent their good seedlings. After all, the conditions in their clans aren't any worse than our academies. They might not even have as many resources as before. But it's different now. While the 4 Dragon Martial Academies are expanding, they've also increased their investment in the Dragon Martial Academy. The cultivation resources they provide have increased by at least 5 times. Therefore, these clans can only send their juniors to the Dragon Martial Academy. If they continue to be complacent, their clans will soon be left behind by the entire Dragon Martial Continent's younger generation." When Kang Xinmu heard that, he looked at the group of young dragon martial artists flying in the distance. The group of young dragon martial artists was led by a pair of princes. Behind them were more than 10 sacred dragon geniuses. Only the 2 princes had inherited blood essence at the level of the Dragon King. Moreover, they seemed to be at the pinnacle of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. In Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy, this strength was equivalent to the strength of the Yuheng District students. However, they were part of the newly recruited 100 students. The secluded dragon martial artist clans from the Dragon Martial Continent. Kang Xinmu didn't expect there to be such a force in the Dragon Martial Continent. It seemed that the Dragon Martial Continent wasn't as simple as it seemed. There were still some hidden powerful existences. Dragon martial artist clans that had dragon mark energy for their juniors to cultivate were likely to have reached the level of a super divine dragon. Otherwise, it would be impossible for an ordinary dragon emperor to obtain pure dragon mark energy. Now that Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy had more resources, these clans would send their juniors to the academy to cultivate. They had their eyes on the academy's cultivation resources. Us 2 brothers can make a bet. That Lady Ran Ran is indeed a beauty capable of causing the downfall of a city. However, there is no need for us to fight until our heads bleed. The group of dragon martial artists flew over. At the same time, one of the 2 princes said with an indifferent expression, "How about this? Let's follow the rules. Let's see who can step into the Tianxian district first. The one who goes to the void to cultivate will be qualified to be with Lady Ran Ran. What do you think? That's good. However, young Master Gu, don't play any tricks." The other princes looked equally indifferent. Who doesn't know that you, young Master Gu, like to play tricks? Don't embarrass us and let Lady Ran Ran laugh at us. Princes, it is said that Lady Ran Ran has a very powerful Kang Xinmu supporting her. Rumor has it that Kang Xinmu is a peerless genius who attracted the attention of Emperor Shi. One of the followers behind them suddenly said. What Kang Xinmu? It's just that we didn't come to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. Otherwise, he wouldn't have anything to do with it. One of the princes laughed. It was obvious that he didn't take Kang Xinmu seriously at all. It seemed that in their eyes, the students of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy were nothing at all. It was as if they came from a hidden dragon martial artist family. Now that they came to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy, they should be able to dominate the academy. Their words surprised Kong Shinmu. These two princes were very arrogant, and they even dared to have ideas about Ran Ran. These guys don't know how high the sky is. Kong Shinmu didn't say much. He just casually said a few words to Liang Xiao and remembered the faces of the two princes. If there was a chance, it would be good to teach them a lesson. Chapter 44-33. Kong Shinmu did not start a conflict with them on the spot. After all, there was no need for that. The academy tournament was about to begin. It was better to fight during the tournament than in private. After all, there was no benefit to him in private. Instead, it would be a waste of his time. The two young masters brought a group of people with them as they walked past Jiang Shenwu and Liang Xiao. They did not recognize Jiang Shenwu, and only grinned at the two of them, allowing them to clearly feel the disdain they had for the students of the Dragon Martial Academy. They really don't know their place. Liang Xiao looked at their backs as they left and immediately said hatefully, "Wait until the academy tournament. If I don't beat them up, I won't be able to vent my hatred." Brother Jiang, one of the princes, is called Ninth Young Master Gu. He's the son of the clan leader of the Gu clan's hidden dragons. The other one's surname is Liang. He's the son of the clan leader of the Liang clan's hidden dragons. These two people's talent is really average. The cultivation resources of their hidden dragon clan, especially the position of the clan head son, are definitely no less than the ordinary students of our academy. However, judging from their current cultivation realm, they are not very powerful. I heard that the hidden dragon martial artist clan has not produced any talented juniors for many years. Kong Shinmu nodded as he listened. If the most talented ones in the hidden dragon martial artist clan were young Master Liang and ninth young Master Gu, then there was no need to worry too much. However, there are still two powerhouses from the hidden dragon martial artist clan who joined Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. One of them is ninth young Master Gu's cousin. She has the blood essence of the divine dragon of the Dragon Emperor level and is in the 7th stage of the rebirth state. The other one is also a woman. I heard that her cultivation realm is similar to second young Lady Gu's. It's very likely that she will make it to the Heavenly Jade Zone or even the Heavenly Center Zone in the Academy tournament. Jiang Shenwu heard it and remembered it in his heart. Second Lady Gu and the other woman were likely to be competitors that he would have to face in the future. He had to keep them in mind. As for ninth young Master Gu and young Master Liang, Kong Shinmu could not be bothered with them. The Dragon King, who was at the peak of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, posed no threat to Kong Shinmu at all. Even if he did not transform into his divine dragon form, Kong Shinmu would not be able to do anything to him. Kong Shinmu returned to his palace and rested for a while. Then, he heard some movements at the entrance of the palace. Is Ran Ran here? His heart skipped a beat. He seemed to have sensed Ran Ran's aura, so he got up and walked out. As he neared the entrance of the palace, he could hear a commotion from afar. However, the commotion wasn't loud, as if they didn't dare to be too loud. Ran Ran's voice was also mixed in, as if she was scolding someone. When Kong Shinmu opened the palace door, he immediately saw Ran Ran, who was wearing a tight black dress and had a graceful figure. She was looking coldly at the people behind her. Ran Ran, is this the Kong Shinmu, big brother Jiang that you were talking about? A young master's voice reached Kong Shinmu's ears directly. This voice had a tinge of arrogance and disdain. It seems that this Kong Shinmu has divine dragon blood at the level of the Dragon King. Is he at the 7th stage of the Nirvana Tribulation realm? I'm not saying this, but I can fight as many of these things as they come. This young master was ninth young Master Gu, whom Kong Shinmu had just met. However, young Master Liang was nowhere to be seen. Behind ninth young Master Gu were a few new students from outside. They were originally geniuses from the Dragon Emperor's kingdom, but now they were following ninth young Master Gu and were willing to be his followers. When ninth young Master Gu said this, Ran coldly scolded in a low voice, "Shut up. People like you are not qualified to be mentioned in the same breath as Big Brother Jiang. Go in." Kong Shinmu glanced at the group of people, but he wasn't angry. He said calmly, "They don't have the ability to barge into my palace. Out of sight, out of mind. Everything will be settled during the academy's competition." As soon as he finished speaking, Kong Shinmu led Ran into the palace, and the palace door closed with a bang. In the student palaces of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy, every palace was protected by a protective array. No student could break through the array with brute force and barge into the palace. After Kong Shinmu led Ran into the palace and disappeared, ninth young Master Gu was so angry that his teeth itched. His handsome face was distorted from anger. In his opinion, Kong Shinmu brought Ran into the palace. What good could they do there? They must be doing something that couldn't be seen. Damn it! Ran is such a beauty. How could she let this trash take advantage of her? Ninth young Master Gu snorted coldly. He was so angry that his body trembled. He had always felt that Kong Shinmu was trash. After coming to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy, he had heard many rumors about Kong Shinmu. For example, when he was training with demonic creatures, he led a team to kill a 6th-stage reincarnation tribulation realm middle-level devil spirit. He was the best among the students of the 4 Dragon Martial Arts Academies. However, he had also seen Xiao Yuhua and the young lady in white. He felt that they were so powerful that even he was no match for them. Therefore, ninth young Master Gu naturally felt that Xiao Yuhua and the young lady in white had helped Kong Shinmu during the training. Otherwise, it was impossible for Kong Shinmu to create such a miracle alone. At the same time, ninth young Master Gu was very displeased. Both Xiao Yuhua and the young lady in white were top-notch beauties in the world. Their cultivation talents were also top-notch in the world. They were the most suitable candidates for his future wife. However, why did they all have something to do with Kong Shinmu? Ninth young Master Gu could not understand. He had thought that Kong Shinmu was extremely good-looking. He had just taken a look at him and realized that he was just so. He was not good-looking at all. How did Kong Shinmu gain the favor of so many beauties? Alright, if that's the case, let's see who's more powerful in the college tournament. I want to see how powerful Kong Shinmu is. Ninth young Master Gu really could not barge into Kong Shinmu's palace. He could only turn around and leave angrily. When he thought that Ran and Kong Shinmu were in the same room, he was so angry that he trembled. He wanted to tear Kong Shinmu into pieces on the spot. It was a pity that he had come to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. He naturally knew the rules of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. He could not be as arrogant and lawless as he was when he was in the hidden Dragon Martial Arts clan. Otherwise, there would be people who could teach him a lesson. He left angrily. The lackeys behind him followed one after another and began to use the most vicious words to belittle Jiang Shenwu and Ran. They called them, adulterous couple, whore, animal. All sorts of terms were used, which allowed young Master Gujiu to vent his anger. Let's wait and see. The college tournament will start soon. I want to see how strong this guy is. It's best if we make a bet. Let's see if this coward dares to bet with me. Ninth young Master Gu was so angry that he almost died today. Chapter 44-34. During the 5 months that Kong Shinmu was cultivating in seclusion, Ran was not idle either. It could be said that her current strength was on par with the original Kong Shinmu. The students had gained a lot from this demonic training. In the palace, Kang Xinmu and Ran Ran had a good chat, mainly about the chaotic dragon body. Unfortunately, the two advanced source dragon martial techniques that Kang Xinmu had just cultivated were only at the human level. He could not teach them to Ran Ran. Fortunately, Ran Ran had exchanged for an advanced source dragon martial technique. She had yet to cultivate it. Once she succeeded, her techniques would definitely not be weak. She was not like the Laughing Flower, who had obsessive-compulsive disorder. The Laughing Flower was a dragon martial technique. If one did not cultivate it to the peak of the heaven level, it would not be used in public. It was fine for Ran Ran. Even though she had just cultivated the advanced source dragon martial technique, its power was far beyond the peak of the void dragon sky-raising break. In the palace, Kang Xinmu and Ran Ran sparred a few times. After sparring a few times, Kang Xinmu had a better understanding of Ran Ran's current strength. It was obvious that after she came to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy, her improvement did not decrease. Instead, it was greater than when she was at Donghuang Yangwu College. This made Kang Xinmu feel gratified. After all, he was the reason that Ran Ran could only come to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. If it affected her cultivation development, Kang Xinmu would feel bad. After sparring, Ran Ran's strength had skyrocketed. This made Kang Xinmu feel at ease. The competition is in a few days. I should rest well and absorb the energy of the dragon mark. Kang Xinmu was in a relatively relaxed state. The competition was about to begin. It would be difficult for him to make any major improvements in a short time. He should rest well and ensure that he was in good condition. This process was the time for Kang Xinmu to absorb the energy of the dragon mark. He continued to fuse with the dragon mark blood pendant and absorbed the energy of the dragon mark at 10 times the speed. After the competition, the speed of absorbing the dragon mark energy will skyrocket. At least, it will reach the level of the Fekta district. The concentration of the dragon mark energy will be much higher than here. Kang Xinmu was looking forward to that day. Because it meant that he could reach the dragon monarch level of divine dragon blood essence as soon as possible. It was a great transformation from Dragon King to Dragon Emperor. Unfortunately, he needed to absorb too much dragon mark energy during this period. Judging from the current concentration of dragon mark energy around Jiang Shenwu, even if he absorbed it 10 times faster, it would still take him several years to reach Dragon Emperor. However, if he were to reach the Fekta region, it would only take him a few years. Of course, this was on the premise that he did not encounter a bottleneck in the advancement of the divine dragon blood essence. At the Dragon King stage, this kind of bottleneck was already very dangerous. Once a bottleneck appeared, and one could not break through to the Dragon King level, then the distance between the Dragon Emperor and the Dragon King would be further and further. Generally speaking, a bottleneck would gradually appear from the 6th to the 7th level of the Dragon King. This made Kang Xinmu rather concerned. He did not know how talented he was in raising the grade of the mystical dragon blood. He was currently at the 6th level of the Dragon King. If there was a bottleneck, it would be difficult for him. Of course, he could only take it one step at a time. There was no point in talking about this now. Maybe there is no bottleneck at all. Kang Xinmu comforted himself. Anyway, this thing depended on the individual. With the talent he had always shown, it was normal for him to have a bottleneck only after reaching the level of the Dragon Emperor. 5 days later. The Academy tournament of the new Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy was finally about to officially begin. The reason why it was called a new Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy was that at the current stage, Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy suddenly had an additional 100 genius students. It could really be considered a new Dragon Martial Academy. Of course, the 4 major Dragon Martial Academies were like this now. This was to deal with the crisis of the invasion of the Void Beasts. The hidden Dragon Martial Artist clans basically all knew about this matter. As for the genius dragon martial artists selected from the Dragon Emperor's kingdom, they naturally knew about this after arriving at the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy. When they communicated with their respective Dragon Emperor's kingdom, they would also inform them of the situation. From this, it could be seen that the news spread like wildfire. Very soon, this matter would be known to the rest of the Dragon Martial continent. For ordinary people, it didn't matter if they knew or not. It didn't affect them much. Anyway, at the current stage, there were many powerful dragon martial artists guarding the Void Chasm, including the deans of the 4 major dragon martial academies. They were super mystical dragons. If even they could not guard the Void Chasm and allowed the Void Beasts to escape, then there was no existence in the Dragon Martial continent that could stop them. To put it bluntly, they could only wait for death. In the central square of the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy, there was a hubbub of voices. Compared to the previous academy tournaments, this could be said to be the most lively one. In the future, it would get more and more lively every year. After all, if they were to recruit 100 people every year, the overall scale of the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy would get bigger and bigger. At this moment, on the seats around the central square, the students were sitting in 2s and 3s. This was different from the genius trial that Ranran had participated in previously. The spectators for this academy tournament were all students from Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. Even though there were more than 100 people now, overall, the number of spectators was not that many. It was very different from the scene of the tens of thousands of spectators when the genius trial was held in the city below. This was not the first time that Kang Xinmu participated in the academy tournament. Thinking back to when he was in Donghuang Yangwu College, he wanted to break through to the Yuheng district, but he was targeted by Xiaofan. Every time, his opponent would secretly become stronger, which made Kang Xinmu feel very uncomfortable. However, this time, he believed that such a situation would not happen. This was the first time that Kang Xinmu participated in the academy tournament after coming to the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy. He participated as a student of the Yuheng district. As usual, the academy tournament would start from the core area. First, the core members of the Tianshu district would be decided. Originally, the Tianshu district only had 3 spots, but now, according to the official rules, the Tianshu district would have 9 spots. The rules of the academy tournament this time were slightly different from the previous ones. The core students of the Tianshu district would first decide on the basic spots, then challenge these 9 spots. Originally, there were 7 people in the Tianxian district, and 3 people in the Tianshu district. Therefore, only 1 student from the Tianxian district could not join the Tianshu district. This had to be decided through a tournament. After the decision was made, only then would other people be allowed to challenge the students from the Tianshu district and change their spots. This process was different from the previous ones. This time, anyone could challenge any student from the Tianshu district. As long as they won, they could join the Tianshu district. Chapter 44-35. The students of the Dubhe district are the goal of everyone in Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. Those who surpassed the Dubhe district were the mentors of the Dragon Emperor. Therefore, the students of the Dubhe district were the strongest students in Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. As long as one was qualified to enter the Dubhe district, he would be considered a top-notch powerhouse in the entire Dragon Martial continent. He could do whatever he wanted in the Dragon Martial continent. Even some of the Dragon Emperor powerhouses from the Dragon Emperor country were no match for the students of the Dubhe district. Of course, the students of the Dubhe district would not be above the 7th level of the Rebirth realm. They could fight against an ordinary Dragon Emperor who was at the peak of the Rebirth realm with their own strength. After all, their Dragon Emperor level Divine Dragon Blood Essence had reached the 3rd or even the 4th level. They were much stronger than ordinary Dragon Emperor powerhouses from the Dragon Emperor country. In this battle for the Dubhe district, everyone paid the most attention to Feng Ligay, the strongest powerhouse, and Gu Yusheng, who came from the hidden dragon martial artist family. She was also known as Second Lady Gu. The cultivators from the hidden dragon martial artist clan were the ones who received the most attention. Everyone wanted to know the difference between the hidden dragon martial artists and the original students of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. Or perhaps they could suppress the original students of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. Many new students of the Dragon Martial Academy hoped that the hidden dragon martial artists could defeat some of the original students of the Dragon Martial Academy so that they could integrate into Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. They did not really look down on the original students of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy, but the key was that the original students basically did not think highly of the new students. They had a contemptuous attitude. Therefore, the opposition between the two sides was born. Kang Xinmu did not look down on these students. However, if these students wanted to cause trouble, he would not let them off easily. As for the competition, he would head for the Dubhe district. He would defeat any dragon martial artist who stood in his way, be they old or new students. As for the Dubhe district, he would not consider it for the time being. Once he reached the Dubhe district, he would be forced to go to the battlefield. Kang Xinmu felt that he was not ready yet. There were many places where he was not strong enough to deal with dangerous situations. The key was still to cultivate the blade's shadow flowing sunset flash to a higher level. This was his life-saving method. Otherwise, it would be troublesome if the black dragon's consciousness came out at the critical moment. There was a hubbub of voices in the square. Originally, the 7 students of the Jade District would compete with each other for the 6 spots to enter the Heaven Center District. There were a total of 6 battles. In any case, the weakest would be eliminated. The rules were very simple, and the battles progressed relatively quickly. These were all top-notch experts from Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. Usually, when they were training and in the Beast Abyss, they knew each other very well. After testing each other a little and seeing that they were not a match for each other, they immediately gave up. However, the further the battle went, the more intense it became. Because no one wanted to be the weakest and be eliminated from the Heaven Center District. Therefore, once they lost 2 rounds in a row, they would start to panic and would erupt with even greater strength. Naturally, the students who went up afterwards would not be willing to lose. Originally, there were 5 females and 2 males in the Heaven Center District of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. When it came to the last round, it turned out to be a battle between 2 men. One of them was the last one to fight, and the other one lost 2 rounds in a row and fell to the last round. This time, whoever loses will have to stay in the Tianxian area. Of course, there was still a chance to challenge the students of the Heaven Center District later. However, if he lost this round, it was basically impossible for him to challenge the students of the Heaven Center District in the future. The 3rd level of the Dragon Emperor, the 5th level of the Rebirth Calamity State. Kang Xinmu looked at the dragon martial artists fighting in the square and could not help but feel a little emotional. These dragon martial artists had been in the Dragon Martial Academy for a long time, but they also had enough talent. Otherwise, it would be impossible for them to reach such a level. One should know that Dragon Emperor Yen was directly stuck at the level of the Dragon Emperor Blood Essence and could not improve. To be able to break through to the 3rd level of the Dragon Emperor Divine Dragon Blood Essence, they were naturally very strong. And these were the weakest students in the Jade District. Of course, now that there were 9 places in the Heaven Center District and 21 places in the Jade District, the current students in the Jade District would definitely be weaker than the previous students in the Jade District. Of course, it was hard to say. After all, the students in the Jade District had obtained a lot of cultivation resources from the demonic beast training. Although the number of places had increased, everyone's strength had also increased a lot. In comparison, the average strength of the students in each district would not be much weaker than before. The fierce competition between the students in the Jade District attracted many people's attention, and they all felt a little emotional. The Dragon Emperor was a truly powerful dragon martial artist. And if they wanted to become a Dragon Emperor, they had to join the core district of the academy as soon as possible, so that the dragon mark energy would be more. I have to join the Fekta district. Kang Xinmu thought to himself. Currently, there was still a gap between his strength and the strength of the Jade district, but it should not be too big of a problem for the Fekta district. After all, the number of places in the Jade district had increased. The overall strength of each district would still be weaker than before. Although there were a lot of points awarded for this training, it was not enough for everyone to reach the level of the next district. The strength of the Fekta district was about the first level of the Dragon Emperor, at most the second level of the Blood Essence, and the third level of the Reincarnation state. Kang Xinmu could still try to fight against an opponent of this level, so the goal of the Fekta district was not impossible for Kang Xinmu to achieve. Dragon roars kept erupting in the field, and the two male students in the Jade district fought in full swing. This not only concerned whether they could join the Heaven Center district, but also a matter of face. Anyway, Kang Xinmu did not know these two people. But looking at the seats in the field, many people kept cheering, and it was obvious that these two people had a high reputation among the students. As long as one stayed in the Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Arts Academy for a few years, basically all the students in the Heaven Center district and the Jade district would know each other. Unfortunately, Kang Xinmu had just arrived, so naturally he did not know them. Soon, one of them won, and the other left the field dejectedly. In the midst of the cheers, the competition for the places in the Heaven Center district of the Academy competition ended. Next was the challenge round. Because there were 100 new students, so for the sake of fairness, each student had 3 chances to challenge, so that they could roughly estimate their strength and position. Therefore, at this time, many students were looking forward to this. Now, there must be some strong people planning to challenge the strongest person in the Heaven Center district. Chapter 44-36. It was also the first time that Kang Xinmu was watching a competition at Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. Previously, when he was at Donghuang Yangwu College, he had seen the battles between Emperor Qin, Yu Tianchang, and others from Donghuang Yangwu College. I wonder, between Feng Ligay and Yu Tianchang, who is stronger? Kang Xinmu squinted his eyes and thought to himself. However, even if Feng Ligay was stronger than Yu Tianchang, it did not mean that Yu Tianchang was weaker than Feng Ligay. After all, 1 or 2 years had passed, and no one knew how strong Yu Tianchang was now. If he wanted to see Yu Tianchang's current strength, he would have to go near the crack in the void and see her battle with the void monsters. This was too dangerous for Kang Xinmu. At present, there was no need to go to the crack in the void to fight. At the very least, he had to cultivate the wind shadow flowing cloud flash to a higher level. At this moment, everyone in the field was looking forward to the second young lady Gu Yusheng, from the Hidden Dragon Martial Arts family. Gu Yusheng was said to have the same terrifying talent and strength as Feng Ligay. This time, she came to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy because she was recommended by the Hidden Dragon Martial Arts family so that she could obtain more cultivation resources in the Dragon Martial Arts Academy. This was basically a battle that everyone was looking forward to. The strongest genius from the Hidden Dragon Martial Arts family against the strongest genius from the former Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. Under the expectant gazes of the crowd, Gu Yusheng, dressed in white, walked up from below the stage. Looking at her appearance, she was also a stunning beauty, but her expression was a little too cold, making people not have the slightest thought of approaching her. As expected, she is at the 4th level of the Dragon Emperor, and the 7th level of the Reincarnation Tribulation Realm. She is exactly the same as Feng Ligay. This was the first time that Kang Xinmu saw Gu Yusheng, and his expression changed slightly. If he had only seen 9th Young Master Gu and Young Master Liang, he would have thought that the hidden dragon martial arts family was only at this level. However, after seeing Gu Yusheng, he realized that the hidden dragon martial arts family of Hakuin was indeed strong. This was clearly not the first time Gu Yusheng and Feng Ligei had met. Feng Ligei's expression was calm. Dressed in red, he appeared gentle and approachable. In Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy, Feng Ligei was the genius student in the Dubhe district who was the easiest to talk to. The other students basically ignored him. On the other hand, although Feng Ligei was the strongest and the most talented, he was still the kinder person. Neither of them spoke. Principal Yu Yaji was still in charge of the academy competition. It was said that the inter-academy tournament of the 4 great dragon martial academies would be held at the same time. However, due to the appearance of the spatial crack this time around, there had to be at least 2 deans of the 4 great dragon martial academies guarding the spatial crack. Therefore, Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy and the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy were holding the academy tournament, while the East Imperial Academy and the South Thoarch Academy's academy tournament had been postponed. However, this did not affect the students of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy much. Without the supervision of a super mystical dragon, there might not be anyone who could hold the fort in such an inter-academy tournament. One had to know that Feng Ligei and Gu Yusheng were powerful beings who could even defeat some of the Dragon Emperor mentors. Their level was not just any ordinary level. Without the super mystical dragon to hold the line, it was very likely that accidents would occur during the fight, and that would be irreparable. Soon, with Principal Yu Yaji's announcement, the battle officially began. Be it Feng Ligei or Gu Yusheng, their techniques were extremely powerful. Moreover, they had cultivated the pinnacle of the advanced source dragon martial arts technique, and more than one. With their techniques, if Kang Xinmu were to be in front of them now, he would probably be killed in one move without the slightest possibility of struggling. After all, they were existences at the 4th level of the Dragon Emperor. At the level of the Dragon Emperor, every increase in level was equivalent to an increase in one's ability. In addition, Gu Yusheng and Feng Ligei were already the best in the same level. Even if they were to face an opponent at the level of the Dragon Emperor, they would be able to win easily. This was the highest combat ability of the students of the Dragon Martial Academy. Kang Xinmu watched the battle carefully, almost unable to take his eyes off it. After all, he would reach this level one day. First, he would watch Feng Ligei and Gu Yusheng's battle techniques, and then study them a little. It would definitely be very beneficial to him. The 2 girls' abilities were about the same, but it could be seen that in terms of actual combat experience, Feng Ligei was almost completely superior to Gu Yusheng. Perhaps the dragon martial artists of the hidden dragon martial artist families did not have as many training opportunities as the students of the Dragon Martial Academy. Not only did they not have training opportunities, but they also could not go to the Beast Abyss. Therefore, although their cultivation levels were not weak, their actual combat ability was still on the weaker side. Everyone in the surroundings was paying attention to the battle between the strongest students of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy, especially the students from the reclusive Dragon Martial Artist clans and the Dragon Martial Artist students who had recently been selected from the Dragon Emperor nation. However, they soon realized that Gu Yusheng was actually at a disadvantage, and their expressions did not look too good. This was the first time the new and old students had clashed, but it seemed that the new students were no match for the old students. This was completely out of everyone's expectations, including 9th young Master Gu. This fellow had originally thought that if his sister could obtain the title of the top student, his authority in Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy would greatly increase in the future. However, from the looks of it now, his sister Gu Yusheng was really no match for Feng Ligei. The Dragon Martial Academy is indeed the Dragon Martial Academy. Even 9th young Master Gu, young Master Liang, and the rest felt emotional. However, although they were emotional, they still thought that the genius from the hidden dragon martial artist families was the strongest. As for Gu Yusheng being no match for Feng Ligei, it was entirely because she had just arrived at the Dragon Martial Academy and was not familiar with the place yet. Moreover, she was indeed lacking in actual combat experience. If she trained more in the future, she would definitely be able to surpass the old students of the Dragon Martial Academy. Regardless of what they thought, the first battle between the new and old students ended very quickly. The difference in actual combat experience caused Gu Yusheng to retreat step by step, and she was soon forced to admit defeat. However, Gu Yusheng was not discouraged, and her expression was still extremely cold. After Feng Ligay admitted defeat, she immediately decided to challenge another student from the Dubhe district. In order to take care of the new students of the Dragon Martial Academy, each of them had 3 chances to challenge someone. These 3 chances would allow them to find a suitable location for themselves. There was no suspense in the next battle. Although Gu Yusheng's combat experience was slightly less abundant, her foundation was still there. The opponent she chose was only the blood essence of the 3rd level of the Dragon Emperor Kingdom, and his ability was only at the 6th level of the Rebirth Tribulation state. There was still a huge gap between him and Feng Ligay. Chapter 44-37. The battles over the next few days were relatively normal, and no one paid much attention to them. After all, geniuses from the Hidden Dragon clan like Gu Yusheng were rare. Apart from Gu Yusheng, there was only one other woman who had joined Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. Basically, she had challenged the weakest male student in the Tianshu district and successfully entered the Tianshu district. But in reality, this woman's strength was far inferior to Gu Yusheng and Feng Ligay. If it weren't for the expansion of the Tianshu district from 3 to 9 people, she definitely wouldn't have been able to enter. Apart from Gu Yusheng and this woman, the other new students from the Hidden Dragon clan weren't particularly strong. Basically, they could only reach the standard of the Tianji district and the Migres district. These new students from the Hidden Dragon clan were Kong Shinmu's opponents. Among them was young Master Gujiu. In the next 2 days, the candidates for the Tianshu district were decided, and then the 21 candidates for the Tianxian district were decided. On the 3rd day, the candidates for the Tianji district were decided. And this was Kong Shinmu's goal. The Tianji district could be said to be the middle-level students of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. There was a large number of Dragon Martial Arts Academy students in this area. In particular, the points awarded from the experience with the Void Beasts had greatly improved many people's cultivation. Kong Shinmu had originally thought that he would be able to enter the Tianji district easily, but now he wasn't so sure. On one hand, there were still a few strong people among the students from the Hidden Dragon clan. On the other hand, the other old students had also greatly improved after the experience with the Void Beasts. Although their improvement definitely couldn't compare to Kong Shinmu's breakthrough, it was obvious that no one was standing still. Some students were originally stronger than Kong Shinmu, and by a lot. Now that they had improved, they might be able to defeat the current Kong Shinmu. The Tianji district trial begins. First, the previous Migres district students will fill in the spots, and then the challenges will begin. Dean Yuyaji soon announced the start of the Fekta region trial. Yuyaji secretly looked at Kong Shinmu. She originally thought that Kong Shinmu was going to challenge Tianxian, but she found that Kong Shinmu didn't seem to be confident. He didn't make a move during the Tianxian challenge yesterday. In fact, it was not that Kong Shinmu couldn't beat anyone in the Jade district, but he felt that if he wanted to beat an opponent in the Jade district, he would have to use some trump cards, and these trump cards were not necessary to be used normally. Most importantly, he did not want to go to Tianxian district yet. Being able to dominate the Fekta district was not bad at all. Soon, 6 hours of spectating and waiting had passed, and it was already afternoon. The Fekta Zone Challenge phase was about to begin. This was only the preliminary confirmation of the Fekta region spots. Only after the afternoon's worth of challenges would the final 27 spots in the Fekta region be decided. I challenged Qian Bing. When the challenge phase began, Kang Xinmu did not hesitate at all. He directly went up the stage, intending to challenge an old student. This Qian Bing, nicknamed White Scorpion, was said to have secretly harmed many dragon martial artist students. Although no one was killed, the dragon martial artist students who were harmed suffered heavy losses. Kang Xinmu originally didn't know who he was going to challenge, but this White Scorpion Qian Bing had been secretly observing him since the beginning, which made him feel a little anxious. The first time he heard this name and nickname was when he went to war to train and killed the swift shadow meteor dragon. It was said that White Scorpion Qian Bing was a Migres district student at that time, but she was almost killed by the swift meteor dragon. But in the end, the swift meteor dragon was killed by Kang Xinmu alone. At that time, Kang Xinmu had just come to Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Arts Academy and was nominally a Yuheng district student. How could Qian Bing tolerate this? At that time, Xiao Yuhua reminded Kang Xinmu and asked Kang Xinmu to be a little more careful. But after that, Kang Xinmu either stayed in seclusion or trained with demons. As for breaking through to the next realm and returning to the Yan Dragon Emperor dynasty, Qian Bing naturally wouldn't find trouble with Kang Xinmu. So all this time, White Scorpion Qian Bing had probably been suppressing a bellyful of anger. This also caused White Scorpion Qian Bing to frequently look in Kang Xinmu's direction during the battle just now, as if provoking him to go up on stage. White Scorpion Qian Bing was originally a Migres district student, but now she had moved to the Fekta district. She had also achieved pretty good results during the last training with the demons in the void. Now that half a year had passed, she had improved considerably. The current Qian Bing had the first level of the Dragon Emperor's divine dragon blood essence and had reached the third level of the rebirth realm. From this aspect, it could be seen that she was many times stronger than Jiang Xinwu. But Kang Xinmu wasn't afraid. The current Kang Xinmu was several levels stronger than when he had been training with the demons. Even if Qian Bing had reached the Dragon Emperor dynasty and the third level of the rebirth realm, she was still not the limit that Kang Xinmu could deal with. At least, Kang Xinmu could easily devour the other party's power for his own use. That was enough. No matter what, this Qian Bing couldn't defeat Kang Xinmu. Kang Xinmu had such confidence. After shouting out his challenge target, he was arranged by Yu Yaji to go up on the stage. All the surrounding dragon warriors sized him up with strange gazes. It was obvious that many of these dragon warriors didn't know Kang Xinmu. Only the old students were not surprised that Kang Xinmu stood up. However, they were still looking forward to it, and some of them were worried. After all, on the surface, Kang Xinmu only had the 6th level of the Dragon King Divine Dragon Blood Essence, and his cultivation was only at the 7th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. There was a difference of 5 levels of cultivation, and there was even a major realm between them. As for the grade of the Divine Dragon Blood Essence, the Dragon King was facing the Dragon Emperor. The disadvantage was too great. Although Kang Xinmu had created some miracles time and time again, but could Kang Xinmu really be a match for White Scorpion Qian Bing? Seeing Kang Xinmu go up on stage, some of the new students from the Hidden World Dragon Warrior families were extremely surprised, and even started to mock him. The grand competition battles they had seen before were basically evenly matched. Even if there was a winner, it was not because of the realm of cultivation or the grade of the Divine Dragon's blood essence, but because of actual combat experience, innate talents, and so on. There had never been anyone like Kang Xinmu, who challenged his opponent in a situation where there was such a huge difference on the surface. Basically, it was just the strong challenging the weak, wanting to rise to a higher cultivation area. How could there be someone like Kang Xinmu? Very good, this Kang Xinmu is very courageous. Chapter 44-38. Kang Xinmu stepped onto the stage. I admire your courage. White Scorpion Qian Bing was already waiting for Kang Xinmu on the stage. Her expression was cold, and she looked like a cold beauty. However, there was a hint of disdain in the depths of her eyes. She had long disliked Kong Xinmu. When Kong Xinmu killed the swift meteor dragon of Thunderbolt Dragon Country during the war, Qian Bing couldn't even raise her head in front of her sisters. She had lost a lot of face. If it wasn't for the fact that she didn't have the chance, she would have made a move against Jiang Shenwu long ago. In the end, she never imagined that Jiang Shenwu would actually dare to challenge her in the academy competition. This had truly exceeded her expectations, and it caused her to laugh coldly without end. She felt that Jiang Shenwu was truly audacious. Unfortunately, I'm not a man without brains. Kong Xinmu faced White Scorpion Qian Bing and said calmly, "Let's begin." As soon as he finished speaking, he transformed into his black dragon form. The 500 Zhonglong Dragon King body burst out from the stage. White Scorpion Qian Bing didn't hesitate at all. She transformed into a snow-white dragon. The dragon scales all over her body were covered with mysterious patterns. She looked like a vicious scorpion, and there was a sinister aura in between the patterns. Qian Bing's dragon essence blood was inherited from the White Scorpion god's venomous dragon. This was why she was called the White Scorpion. Not only was the aura of the divine dragon's essence and blood sinister, but even her personality was as sinister as the White Scorpion. This was why many students of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy were afraid of being associated with her. As the dragon forms of both sides appeared, a conflict was about to break out. Extreme cold poison cloud break. White Scorpion sneered. The dragon roared angrily, and a surge of reincarnation power erupted from the dragon's body. It condensed into a snow-white poisonous cloud that instantly spread toward Kong Xinmu. Kong Xinmu swung his dragon tail, followed by the wind shadow flowing cloud flash. This dragon martial technique exploded. Swoosh! In an instant, his black dragon form disappeared from the stage and appeared directly behind White Scorpion. It's the blade shadow flowing cloud flash. This scene was seen by many people in the surroundings, and they were all extremely shocked. The shadowy blade flowing cloud flash was one of the powerful dragon martial arts techniques of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. In order to successfully cultivate it, one must have a certain level of comprehension of the void. Otherwise, it would be impossible to successfully cultivate it. This was also a high-grade source dragon martial technique. It turns out that the reward that Kong Xinmu obtained from the demonic creatures was used to exchange for the blade shadow flowing sunset flash. Then his cultivation speed is really quite fast. In a short few months, he has already successfully mastered the blade shadow flowing sunset flash. Judging from his performance, although this move is only at the level of human level, it's not too far away from the level of earth level. Kong Xinmu dodged the opponent's extreme cold poison cloud break. The snow-white poison cloud, which carried an icy chill, directly bombarded the protective barrier of the arena, causing the entire arena to tremble. Void Dragon Sky-Piercing Strike. After Kong Xinmu dodged his opponent's attack, he took advantage of the fact that his opponent had not reacted and directly performed an offensive dragon martial arts technique on his opponent's back. At the same time, he also erupted the power of the Great Wilderness Demon Sweeping Sword and integrated it. The blood-red Void Dragon Sky-Piercing Strike condensed into 6 beams of dragon's breath. In an instant, they erupted from the mouths of the 6 surrounding black dragon shadows and swept towards Qian Bing's snow-white divine dragon body. Qian Bing had just performed her extreme cold poison cloud break. Although she realized that Kong Xinmu had dodged her attack, she really did not have a good defensive preparation. 9th Heaven Poison Cloud Barrier. In a hurry, Qian Bing executed a mid-grade origin source dragon martial technique. A layer of snow-white poisonous cloud barrier extended from her divine dragon body and shielded her dragon body from the outside world. The 9th Heaven Poison Cloud Barrier, this middle-grade source dragon martial technique, had been cultivated by Qian Bing to the peak of heaven level. Even if she performed it in a hurry, it had at least 70% defensive power. Even if Kang Xinmu used the power of the Great Wilderness Demon Sweeping Sword, he would not be able to break through her strong defense. After all, compared to Kang Xinmu, Qian Bing's divine dragon blood essence was of the Dragon Emperor grade. Moreover, she had already reached the third stage of the rebirth realm. With such a cultivation realm, in terms of basic strength, she was definitely much stronger than Kang Xinmu. The defensive dragon martial arts technique that she casually performed was not something that Kang Xinmu could easily break through. Moreover, when she broke through to the rebirth realm, her white scorpion god venomous dragon power already carried an extremely strong corrosive power. When this corrosive power came into contact with Kang Xinmu's attack, it was actually unstoppable. It completely corroded Kang Xinmu's void dragon sky-piercing strike until it completely disappeared from the battlefield. Impressive. Kang Xinmu narrowed his eyes. This white scorpion god venomous dragon's divine dragon blood essence was indeed different from some of the powers that he had seen before. However, no one noticed that unknowingly, a lot of pitch-black devouring power had already spread out from Kang Xinmu's body. Moreover, it was the blood-red power of the dragon-scarred blood pendant. Under the cover of the dragon-scarred blood pendant's power, this devouring power was like a small snake that pierced through the void. Without any warning, it seeped into the opponent's white scorpion god venomous dragon power. Whether it was the Nine Heavens poison cloud barrier or the extreme cold poison cloud break that she had previously used to attack the defensive barrier, they had all become Kang Xinmu's devouring targets. This power, Kang Xinmu could completely devour and use it for himself. You have the talent to counterattack. Unfortunately, before you use my power to counterattack, have you ever thought about the special characteristics of the white scorpion god venomous dragon? Seeing this, Qian Bing did not panic at all. She sneered, the white scorpion god venomous dragon has absolute poison resistance. It can be said that it is impervious to all poisons. Because of this, the blood essence of our white scorpion god venomous dragon is the most suitable to increase the poison contained in one's power. Now, among the reincarnation power that I have unleashed, there are many poisons that originally did not belong to my talent. However, they exist within my power. I have the body of the white scorpion god venomous dragon, which is why I am immune to these poisons. As for you, even if you can use my power to counterattack, your body will be the first to bear the attack of these poisons. I know that you have cultivated a body-tempering dragon martial technique. However, I want to see if you can really withstand the power of my poison. Qian Bing laughed coldly. She did not care about Kang Xinmu's actions. She immediately raised her hand, and the white poison cloud that filled the sky bloomed in an instant. It swept towards Kang Xinmu's black dragon body. Moreover, this time, the white poison cloud that filled the sky seemed to explode in all directions in the entire arena. Even if Kang Xinmu wanted to dodge, there was simply no place for him to do so. He could only face her crazy poison attack head-on. Poison? I wonder if the power of your poison can break through my divine dragon tyrant body technique. When Kang Xinmu heard Qian Bing's words, he did not care at all. His chaotic dragon body and divine dragon tyrant body technique had resistance to all elemental powers. Chapter 44-39. Kang Xinmu's innate ability of devouring, after fusing with the power of the Dragonscar blood pendant, could devour the opponent's power for his own use. Most importantly, it relied on the strength of his divine dragon body. Therefore, after Kang Xinmu cultivated the divine dragon tyrant body art, he was able to devour energy and become stronger. In order for Kang Xinmu to devour his opponent's strength, he had to first harm his own divine dragon body. This was exactly as Qian Bing had thought. However, Kang Xinmu was completely unafraid of poison. When Qianbing's white scorpion god's poison dragon's power completely erupted, Kang Xinmu's entire body was enveloped by his own blood-red devouring power, swallowing the white poison cloud that had spread to the surroundings. It's a pity that the white scorpion god poisonous dragon is immune to all poisons. Even if I devoured this power, I won't be able to threaten it at all. Kang Xinmu thought to himself. He felt that it was a little tricky. In the current situation, it was definitely impossible for Qianbing to defeat him. After all, he had already devoured so much of the white scorpion god's poison dragon's power. His resistance towards poison had become even stronger than before. This Qianbing would definitely not be able to hurt him. This was something Kang Xinmu was sure of. But conversely, he couldn't hurt Qianbing. If it were any other opponent of the same level, Kang Xinmu would directly devour the opponent's power and then counterattack, most likely killing the opponent. However, he could not do it to Qianbing. This was because Qianbing's white scorpion god poison dragon was immune to all poisons. This immunity was even stronger than Kang Xinmu's. She was able to resist the poison and use it. Even if Kang Xinmu used this power to counterattack, he wouldn't be able to do anything to Qianbing. The key was that this round was his challenge to Qianbing. Therefore, he had to defeat Qianbing. Otherwise, as long as Qianbing did not lose, his challenge would not be considered a success, and he would not be able to replace Qianbing and enter the Fecta zone. This is a little tricky. It seems like we can only fight a war of attrition. Kang Xinmu sighed. Originally, he did not intend to use this tactic. After all, it was too time-consuming. If he wanted to completely exhaust an opponent like Qianbing, it would probably take 2 hours. Of course, this was the only way for Kang Xinmu now. Although it was difficult to fight like this, it was fine as long as they won. The Academy tournament did not allow the use of Dawn and the like, so Kang Xinmu was not anxious. Once Qianbing's strength was exhausted, she would definitely not be able to block his attack. Even if his Void Dragon Raising Heaven Break's attack power was not strong, it was enough to defeat Qianbing, who did not have a defensive dragon martial skill. He would have to rely on the Dark Dragon's Art of Filth Control. The Dark Dragon Filth Control art that Kang Xinmu cultivated could heal his injuries and replenish the energy he had expended. In terms of stamina, Kang Xinmu would definitely not lose to Qianbing. Perhaps only Ran, who had cultivated the Dark Dragon Filth Mastery to the peak of the Heaven rank, could compete with Kang Xinmu in terms of stamina. Next, Kang Xinmu mindlessly used Void Dragon Raises the Heavens. 6 black dragon phantoms continued to appear in the field, bursting out blood-red beams of light with the power of the great desolate demon sweeping sword, attacking Qianbing. Qianbing had no choice but to defend passively. She was also very uncomfortable now. This was because she realized that even though Kang Xinmu had devoured her poison power, he did not use it against her at all. It was as if he knew that she had a special poison resistance. However, if Kang Xinmu continued to exhaust her like this, could it be that he was confident that he could exhaust her to death? Qianbing was very depressed. She didn't know how strong Kang Xinmu's recovery ability was, but she was sure that Kang Xinmu was a large tortoise. No matter what she did, her white scorpion god's poison dragon power couldn't corrode Kang Xinmu's body. The corrosive nature of the rebirth realm couldn't do anything to Kang Xinmu's divine dragon body. Just how many body-refining dragon martial skills has this fellow cultivated? Qianbing simply wanted to cry. If she couldn't do anything to Kang Xinmu, she could only ensure that she wouldn't be defeated. Fortunately, Kang Xinmu's current strength wasn't strong. The key was that the attack dragon martial skill he cultivated wasn't strong. It was impossible to kill Qianbing with a mere Void Dragon Raising Heaven break. Of course, Qianbing didn't take long to feel that something was wrong. She was constantly using the defense dragon martial skill to block Kang Xinmu's Void Dragon Raising Heaven break, and the energy in her body was constantly being consumed. But Kang Xinmu didn't seem to know fatigue. He kept using this seemingly weak dragon martial skill. During this period, Qianbing also launched several attacks on Kang Xinmu. Unfortunately, Kang Xinmu didn't move at all. He just flew there and let her attack. She was unable to harm Kang Xinmu in the slightest. Such a scene not only made Qianbing feel despair, even the surrounding dragon martial artists could feel Kang Xinmu's shamelessness. This fellow was too tanky. His defense was too strong. He could actually block an attack from a Rebirth Tribulation Realm 3rd stage dragon emperor like Qianbing head-on. He was simply the strongest dragon king in the world. There was no one else who could compare. Below the stage, 9th young Master Gu sneered when he saw Kang Xinmu using such a tactic. It is said that Kang Xinmu has the talent to counterattack. However, this talent is useless against Qianbing. Is he planning to exhaust Qianbing to death like this? Many of the people behind him laughed when they saw this. I'm afraid so. Other than that, his attack methods are too lacking. It's basically impossible to defeat Qianbing. That's right. Kang Xinmu seems to want to exhaust Qianbing to death. However, Qianbing's cultivation realm is higher than his, and the talent in her body is stronger. If Kang Xinmu wants to exhaust Qianbing to death, I'm afraid that his own strength will be exhausted first. Many people had the same thought, and it wasn't unreasonable to think so. After all, generally speaking, if both sides were evenly matched, the one with the higher cultivation would have the upper hand when it came to a battle of attrition. Even if there was someone who could challenge someone of a higher cultivation, as long as the one with the higher cultivation could withstand the attack, the one with the higher cultivation would definitely win in a battle of attrition. If it was in the wild, it would depend on who had more elixirs. However, elixirs were not allowed in the academy tournament. Under such circumstances, Qianbing's cultivation realm was 5 levels higher than Kang Xinmu. This was a huge advantage. As expected of a Rebirth Tribulation Realm 3rd stage opponent. In the arena, Kang Xinmu also felt that Qianbing was too difficult to deal with. At the 3rd tier of the Rebirth Tribulation Realm, the innate talent in one's body was too dense. Jiang Shenwu could barely keep up with the consumption of energy by circulating the Dark Dragon Filth Control Art at full force. However, Qianbing seemed to have more than enough. This made Kang Xinmu rather uncomfortable. However, if this continued, he would definitely have a greater advantage with the Dark Dragon Filth controlling skill. He would defeat Qianbing sooner or later. Chapter 44-40. The dragon martial artists who were watching the battle outside were all somewhat drowsy. The battle between Kang Xinmu and Qianbing was really too boring. Everyone could see that both sides were fighting a battle of attrition, and Kang Xinmu was already in an invincible position. As long as he could exhaust Qianbing's energy, he would be considered to have won. But wasn't this too shameless? Many people privately felt that Kang Xinmu was too shameless to actually use such a method. They did not know of the existence of the Dark Dragon Imperial Filth technique, but they guessed that Kang Xinmu had cultivated so many body-tempering dragon martial techniques, it was hard to guarantee that he did not cultivate some dragon martial technique that increased recovery speed. This kind of dragon martial technique, generally speaking, basically no one would cultivate. Rather than cultivating this kind of dragon martial technique, it was better to cultivate a body-type dragon martial technique. It would be more useful. After all, when fighting outside, if they encountered a deadlock situation, they could directly leave first, and come back to think of a way. As for increasing recovery speed, it was only suitable for situations where one could not escape. That was falling into a dead end, no matter what, there was no way to escape. Even if the recovery speed was faster, it was extremely difficult to obtain the final victory. Such a useless dragon martial technique, Kang Xinmu actually cultivated it. it could be seen that Kang Xinmu was a shameless person to begin with. This kid, I'm afraid he cultivated this kind of dragon martial technique in order to exhaust his opponent to death during the Academy's grand competition. Many people guessed, and were somewhat unhappy with Kang Xinmu. This kind of method that could only be used during the Academy's grand competition was really too shameless. It must be known that ordinary people would not cultivate this kind of dragon martial technique. Until now, many people had already discovered that Kang Xinmu's energy consumption, on the contrary, was not as serious as Qian Bing's. About an hour passed, the energy in Qian Bing's body was gradually exhausted, her recovery speed was too slow, constantly using the defensive dragon martial technique to block Kang Xinmu's void dragon raising heaven break. The energy in her body had already been consumed by more than half. To want to recover, it was definitely not a matter of a short time. Who would have thought that they would encounter such a thing? Qian Bing was also completely unprepared. She only thought that she was not afraid of Kang Xinmu's counterattack talent, nor was she afraid of Kang Xinmu's attacks. She did not expect that in a situation where she could not do anything to Kang Xinmu would actually exhaust her strength. This made Qian Bing feel like crying. If it was in the outside world, she would not have ended up losing even if she had consumed a pill or directly escaped. However, during the Academy Grand Competition, she couldn't take the pill. Furthermore, he couldn't just admit defeat and run away. Once she admitted defeat, it would mean that she had lost a battle and lost the right to challenge again. It was not difficult for her to return to the Fecta region. Given her strength, she could easily defeat some of the weakest opponents in the Fecta region, but she did not think that losing to Kang Xinmu should have happened. This was too embarrassing. Kang Xinmu had only come to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy for less than a year, and it was said that he had only joined Donghuang Yangwu College for 2 years. A young man who had only joined the Dragon Martial Academy for a short 3 years could actually defeat her, Qian Bing. This was too embarrassing for her. After all, Qian Bing was a student who had cultivated in Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy for more than 10 years, almost 20 years. She could be considered as a senior student, which was why she could step into the Migres region. She did not expect that she would actually lose to a young man. Simply put, Qian Bing had probably joined the Dragon Martial Academy longer than Kang Xinmu had been born. Because of this, Qian Bing was very angry that she was actually defeated by Kang Xinmu in such a shameless manner. You win. She did not intend to give up before the strength in her body was completely depleted. However, after fighting for 2 hours, the strength in her body was finally completely depleted. She no longer had the strength to defend against Kang Xinmu's attacks. Originally, after seeing through Kang Xinmu's plan, she wanted to try her luck and see if she could drag out Kang Xinmu until he ran out of strength. Reality proved that she was thinking too much. Kang Xinmu's strength was endless with the help of the Dark Dragon Inferno spell. Even if it was depleted, he could quickly recover a portion of it, and then he could perform the Void Dragon Sky Raising Break. Although the Void Dragon Sky Raising Break was only a beginner source dragon technique and had limited power, it also had an advantage, which was that it consumed less strength. If Kang Xinmu were to use a high-grade source dragon technique, he would not be able to sustain the use of a high-grade source dragon technique. Unless he could cultivate the Dark Dragon Inferno spell to the pinnacle of heaven level, he would not be able to support the continuous use of high-grade source dragon techniques. This naturally included the Wind Shadow Flowing Cloud Flash. This high-grade source dragon technique would greatly improve Kang Xinmu's strength. At least, it would guarantee his ability to survive. If he wanted to use the Wind Shadow Flowing Cloud Flash continuously, Kang Xinmu would have to cultivate the Dark Dragon Inferno spell to a higher level. In the future, the Dragon Martial Academy students' battlefield would definitely be in the spatial cracks outside. Combat ability was what they needed the most. Everything else could be abandoned. Others might not need to cultivate the Dark Dragon Inferno spell, but to Kang Xinmu, it was something he had to improve. He had to thank Ran Ran for teaching him this. However, Kang Shinmu had some ideas now. After all, he had seen many things, and he knew that the Dark Dragon Inferno spell was a dragon technique exclusive to the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy. It could not be exposed. Ran Ran's parents are probably related to the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy. However, I don't know the specifics, so it's not convenient for me to find out now. Ran Ran looks like she's 16 or 17 years old this year. In that case, I should pay attention to what happened to the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy 16 or 17 years ago if I have the chance, Kang Shinmu thought to himself. White Scorpion Qian Bing eventually used up all her energy. When Kang Shinmu used the Void Dragon Sky Raising Break again, she had no choice but to admit defeat. She could no longer maintain her defensive dragon technique, and the energy in her body was completely depleted. If she did not admit defeat, Kang Shinmu's Void Dragon Sky Raising Break would be enough to seriously injure her. If he used it again, she might be killed on the spot. Although Qian Bing was unwilling to admit defeat, she could only bow to reality and Kang Shinmu in the end. However, when she left the stage, she glared at Kang Shinmu. Kang Shinmu, I will not let you off so easily. For students in the Fecta zone, the biggest way to improve was still in the Beast Abyss. Qian Bing swore that if she saw Kang Shinmu in the Beast Abyss, she would definitely chase him to the ends of the earth. Kang Shinmu only looked at Qian Bing and did not say anything. In Kang Shinmu's opinion, anyone who lost to him once was not qualified to be his opponent anymore. This was because his improvement speed was definitely faster than others. This was the confidence he had as a genius. Kang Shinmu wins this battle and enters the Fecta zone. Chapter 44-41. After Kang Shinmu joined the Fecta zone, he had to wait for others to challenge him. However, after waiting for a long time, no one came to challenge him, which surprised Kang Shinmu. He did not expect that after he defeated White Scorpion Qian Bing, the others would treat him like a ferocious tiger and would not dare to challenge him. On one hand, White Scorpion Qian Bing was not a weakling. Among the 27 students in the Fecta zone, she was definitely among the top 10. On the other hand, even White Scorpion Qian Bing was defeated by Kang Shinmu. How could the others have a chance to defeat Kang Shinmu? Kang Shinmu was too powerful, at least in the Fecta zone, so nobody would challenge him. Those who wanted to join the Fecta zone would basically pick weaker opponents to challenge instead of provoking Kang Shinmu directly. Even 9th young Master Gu, who had threatened to fight Kang Shinmu, was completely terrified now. This kid had the blood essence of the Dragon King and was at the peak of the Nirvana tribulation state, yet he dared to challenge Kang Shinmu. He must be tired of living. If he really challenged Kang Shinmu, he would be out of his mind. Initially, he had not seen Kang Shinmu's strength. However, after watching the battle between Kang Shinmu and White Scorpion Qian Bing, he could tell that Kang Shinmu's strength was equivalent to the third stage rebirth state Dragon Emperor. Even in another 5 or 10 years, 9th young Master Gu might not be able to reach Kang Shinmu's current level. Initially, 9th young Master Gu was very confident. As the descendant of a hidden dragon martial artist family, he had enjoyed a lot of cultivation resources since he was young. On average, he had more resources than ordinary students in the Dragon Martial Academy. Under such circumstances, he was naturally stronger than the average student. According to the original standards, it would not be a problem for 9th young Master Gu to join the Yuheng zone. Now that the zone had expanded, he could also try to challenge the Migres zone since the quota had increased. However, the Fecta region was impossible for 9th young Master Gu. How could he have imagined that Kang Shinmu would challenge Qian Bing, the White Scorpion of the Fecta region? As for White Scorpion Qian Bing, he did not have much of an impression. After all, he had not been here for long. He was proud and arrogant towards those who were not too strong, and did not have the mood to get to know them. However, he could also see that there seemed to be some personal grudges between Qian Bing and Kang Xinmu. Under such circumstances, it was impossible for Qian Bing to go easy on the stage. In other words, Kang Xinmu could be considered as one of the strongest cultivators in the Tianji zone. If he advanced further, he could very well reach the Tianxian zone. Of course, Kang Xinmu doesn't want to go to Tianxian district now, otherwise, he might really be able to defeat some of the weaklings in Tianxian district. The prerequisite was that the opponent's talent was countered by Kang Xinmu. For example, the three-eyed demon spirit was countered by Kang Xinmu. Its attack and speed were top-notch, but its defense was lacking. Such an opponent was the easiest for Kang Xinmu to deal with. Moreover, if Kang Xinmu challenged the opponent 2 more times, he could first accumulate his resistance to the opponent's talent, and then challenge the real opponent in one fell swoop for the 3rd time. It was very likely that he could defeat some of the weaker students in Tianxian district. However, Kang Xinmu felt that it was not necessary. At present, the students in Tianxian district had to be forcibly sent to the void crack. This was enough for Kang Xinmu. He wanted to reach the level of the Dragon Emperor. During this period, he could also improve the Wind Shadow Flowing Cloud Flash, a high-level dragon origin skill. If he could cultivate it to the Heaven Realm, then Kang Xinmu could boldly run to the Void Crack to train. Kang Xinmu was not particularly afraid of death. The key was the Black Dragon's consciousness in his body. It was a bit strange. He did not want to cause any trouble. Since no one challenged him, Kang Xinmu was also happy to be free. He watched the battle from the sidelines and found that he could defeat most of the students in Tianji district, except for a few students who specialized in defensive dragon martial skills, which was a bit tricky for him. Dragon warrior students who had cultivated this kind of defensive dragon martial skill to the acme of perfection were basically the core of the team. When they fought, they only needed to focus on defense and leave the attack to their friends. For example, the previous duo of Kang Xinmu and Xiao Yuhua. Such an opponent would usually cultivate some healing dragon martial skill or recovery dragon martial skill. Therefore, it was also very difficult for Kang Xinmu to defeat them. If the opponent challenged him, they would definitely not be able to defeat him, but he would also not be able to defeat the opponent. Once they went on the field, they would be staring at each other, and the outcome could be determined for 10 days or half a month. Therefore, students basically did not want such a situation to happen. Of course, it was also very difficult for these dragon warrior students who cultivated this kind of defensive dragon martial skill to defeat others. It was extremely difficult for them to go to the more core area to train. Generally speaking, when their teammates reached the Tianji district, this kind of defensive type students would only reach the Tianji district, which was 1 level lower. This was also their disadvantage, and the school tournament clearly stated that they could not go easy, so their teammates could not help them advance to the next level. Now, there were 2 such dragon warriors in the Tianji district where Kang Xinmu was. They barely managed to challenge and defeat the weaker opponents in the Tianji district, but the teammates who usually worked with them were all strong people in the Tianji district. Their fighting style was somewhat similar to that of Kang Xinmu, which was to use defense to exhaust the opponent's strength, and when it was almost exhausted, they would defeat the opponent in one fell swoop. Not everyone's offensive dragon martial skill was as weak as Kang Xinmu's Void Dragon Sky Raising Break. Some dragon warriors who were proficient in defensive dragon martial skills also had extremely outstanding offensive dragon martial skills, but such cases were relatively rare. After all, it required a lot of time for a dragon warrior to practice 2 different types of dragon martial skills, and it was not something that could be done in a short period of time. For example, Kang Xinmu wanted to practice Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Art and Wind Shadow Flowing Cloud Flash at the same time, and it took him 5 months just to reach the human level, which was considered fast. If it was someone else, perhaps 2 moves would take a year. To cultivate 1 move to the peak of the heaven level, it would take 3 to 5 years, or even 10 years was not considered long. If it was 2 moves, it would probably take at least 10 to 20 years. How could an ordinary dragon warrior have so much time? If they had so much time and talent, the grade of their divine dragon blood essence and cultivation realm would have long surpassed that of ordinary students. Until the end of today's school tournament, no one came up to challenge Kang Xinmu. The battle between him and Qian Bing was really uncomfortable, and no one wanted to have such a painful experience like Qian Bing. Kang Xinmu had no choice but to step down. Chapter 44-42. The second day was the day of the Migres district competition. There were a total of 45 places in the Migres district. Just like the day before, the participants would be chosen in the morning, from the original Yuheng district and Kaiyang district students. In the afternoon, it would be the challenge. Ran's original target was the Migres district, but she was originally from the Alcade district, and was not qualified to enter the Kaiyang district. She could only wait for the afternoon challenge. Originally, young Master Gu and young Master Liang wanted to challenge the Migres district. But they realized that the students in the Migres district were too strong. Even Ran did not challenge the students in the Migres district. If the two of them challenged, they would be courting death. Hence, they could only challenge the Migres district first. If not for the expansion of the district, these two fellows would at most be able to make it to the Yuheng district. Due to the large number of slots available, the Migres area's challenges continued for 2 days. Ran directly challenged a female student and succeeded, occupying her position. Then, within 2 days, she consecutively accepted 3 challenges, winning all of them. After 2 days, Ran finally gained a foothold in the Migres district. Kang Xinmu, Migres district. Ran, Migres district. Liang Xiao, Migres district. It had to be said that Liang Xiao's progress was too fast. Even Ran's speed of improvement was only about the same as Liang Xiao's. It could be seen that Liang Xiao's cultivation talent was really terrifying. As for Xiao Yuhua and the girl in white, they were both students in the Migres district, and ranked near the bottom. After all, the two girls had improved greatly. Xiao Yuhua was already at the first tier of the reincarnation tribulation realm. She had already cultivated the high-grade origin source dragon martial technique, Phoenix Dance of the Burning Nine Heavens, to its peak. She had also cultivated a defensive dragon martial technique. Although she was still a Dragon King level divine dragon's blood essence, her strength was not far from that of some dragon emperors. Some students in the Migres district spent all their time on improving their divine dragon blood. But Xiao Yuhua spent all her time on improving her Phoenix Dance of the Burning Nine Heavens. To be able to cultivate a high-level divine dragon technique to the peak of the heaven level, Xiao Yuhua could beat most students. Even in the Migres district, not many students could do that. For example, White Scorpion Qian Bing, who had been cultivating in Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy for more than 10 years, had only managed to cultivate a mid-level divine dragon technique to the peak of the heaven level. The difficulty of cultivating a high-level divine dragon technique was several times that of a mid-level divine dragon technique. Therefore, Xiao Yuhua directly stepped into the Fecta region with the help of the Phoenix Dance, incinerating the 9 heavens at the peak of the heaven stage. As for the girl in the white dress, she had reached the second level of the rebirth tribulation realm. She had used the experience points from the last demonic beast experience to exchange for a set of 3 heaven-ranked dragon weapons. In the past half a year, she had been training with these 3 heaven-level dragon weapons. Now, she could already unleash 70% of the power of these 3 heaven-level dragon weapons, causing her fighting strength to become extremely terrifying. The expansion of the district quota allowed her to reach the level of the Migres district. She had challenged her limits in the demonic beast training with Kang Xinmu and killed the 6th-level intermediate devil spirit. She had gained at least twice as many points as the other students. Therefore, the improvement she obtained from this experience was naturally extremely great. Xiao Yuhua, the girl in the white dress, Kang Xinmu, and the other 5 people were the oddities in the Migres district. Only the 8 of them were qualified to stay in the Migres district because they had inherited divine dragon blood of the Dragon King level. The other 19 people all had inherited divine dragon blood of the Dragon Emperor level. Among them, Qian Bing, whom Kang Xinmu had defeated, was one of the top experts in the Migres district. It was clear that Kang Xinmu was one of the top experts in the Migres district. Although the inherited blood essence of the dragon's sovereign realm was powerful, the other aspects of strength could not be ignored. Some students only cared about raising the grade of the divine dragon blood essence and neglected the improvement of other aspects. Their actual combat strength was destined to be too weak. Now, including Ran Ran and Liang Xiao, Kang Xinmu finally had his own team. There were 5 of them, and they had a good relationship with each other. If they went out to train together, they would definitely work well together. Now, in front of them was the Beast Abyss. The Beast Abyss was the place where they could gain the most experience points before the Void Rift. The competition in the Beast Abyss was fierce. Many students from the Dubhe district and Tianxian district would go there. The other students could only run if they encountered them. But now, although the number of students from the Dubhe district and Tianxian district had tripled, they were all forced to go near the Void Rift to fight against the demonic beasts. Therefore, the students from the Migres district are the strongest in the Beast Abyss. Especially Kang Xinmu's team of 5. Although Ran Ran and Liang Xiao were only students from the Migres district, they were ranked at the top in the Migres district. If they worked together with Kang Xinmu's team, they would not be a burden. Instead, they would have a unique effect. If the 5 of them worked together, they could do whatever they wanted in the Beast Abyss. They did not need to be afraid if they encountered other students from the Dragon Martial Academy. Of course, there were still some demonic beasts in the Beast Abyss that could rival the students from the Dubhe district and Tianxian district. They just had to avoid provoking them. Generally speaking, if Kang Xinmu's team of 5 entered the Beast Abyss, they would not have to be as worried as Kang Xinmu had been in the Beast Abyss the previous 2 times. Let's take this opportunity to sweep the Beast Abyss and obtain as many experience points as possible. If the 5 of them worked together, some of the experience points would be divided. However, it was not a big problem for Kang Xinmu. After all, he was confident that he could bring the 5 of them and obtain more spoils of war. In any case, he would gain quite a lot, so there was no need for others to take part of it. After all, the participation of others would also increase the speed at which he obtained the spoils of war. In the future, I will have to form a team of 5 to train in the Void Chasm. Otherwise, it will be difficult to survive the attacks of a large number of void demonic beasts. Unity is strength. Kang Xinmu was very clear on this point. If Xiao Yuhua, Ran Ran, and the others attacked Kang Xinmu together, Kang Xinmu might not be their match. Just this point alone was enough. Bringing them along was not a burden, but a helper. Kang Xinmu did not go to watch the challenges after the Migres district. He took a good rest in the palace and consolidated his strength. When the competition ended, he was finally arranged to go to the palace in the Fekta district. Originally, there were many palaces in the Fekta district, and many of them were empty. However, with the increase in the number of places in the major cultivation areas, these palaces were soon filled. There were even palaces that had 2 dragon martial artists assigned to each palace. There were simply not enough palaces, and there was no time to expand the palaces in a short period of time. However, after the competition ended, with the announcement of Dean Yuyaji, the concentration of Dragon Mark energy in the entire Emperor Shi Dragon Martial Academy skyrocketed by 5 times overnight. Chapter 44-43. The concentration of the Dragon Mark's energy had skyrocketed by more than 5 times overnight. Without a doubt, an existence at the level of the peerless divine dragon was able to attract so much dragon mark energy from elsewhere. Originally, the peerless divine dragon had the ability to increase the dragon mark's energy in the Dragon Martial Academy, but there was no need for it. It was most likely because the 4 Dragon Martial Academies in the Dragon Martial continent were not considered powerful factions, and it was not worth investing too much. However, now that the Void Rift had appeared in the sky above the Dragon Martial continent, if the peerless divine dragon did not gather more dragon mark energy, the Dragon Martial continent might be destroyed. Since the peerless divine dragon had created the Dragon Martial continent, they naturally would not sit by and watch it be destroyed. That was why the dragon mark's energy had increased so much. Although the dragon mark's energy had increased 5-fold, to the students of the various Dragon Martial Academies, the grade of the divine dragon's blood essence did not increase by much. The main reason was that the number of slots for the various cultivation zones in the Dragon Martial Academy had doubled, reaching 3 times the previous number. Therefore, in reality, the amount of dragon mark energy that every student could get was only 60% higher than before, but it was already an incredible increase. If the ordinary students cultivating in the Yuheng district could absorb the dragon mark's energy at a rate of 1, then Kang Xinmu, who had been cultivating in the Yuheng district, could absorb the dragon mark's energy at a rate of 10. Now that Kang Xinmu had gone to the Fekta district to cultivate, the overall concentration of dragon mark energy had increased again. His absorption speed could be said to have reached 25. This was almost 2.5 times the original speed, and the effect was very obvious. If Kang Xinmu could reach the Dubhe district, his absorption speed would most likely be around 50 times faster than when he was in the Yuheng district, or even double the current speed. Unfortunately, once he reached the Dubhe district, he would have to go to the Void Rift most of the time. He would not have the free time to cultivate in the Dragon Martial Academy. Of course, the Dragon Martial Academy would not let the students from the Dubhe district and Tianxian district train near the Void Rift all the time. Every student could apply for leave to return to the Dragon Martial Academy after killing enough void demonic creatures to cultivate, mainly to absorb the dragon mark's energy. Moreover, it was said that when students from the Divine Pivot and Divine Jade districts returned to the academy to absorb the dragon mark's energy, their absorption speed would increase to a certain extent. This was mainly the reward they could obtain from training in the void cracks. They could obtain demon hunting points by hunting void beasts, and they could use the demon hunting points to exchange for treasures that could not be exchanged in the Dragon Martial Academy. Unfortunately, Kang Xinmu did not plan on hunting void demons for the time being. To him, that was a little too ambitious. It was better for him to go to the Beast Abyss to train and strengthen himself first. About a year more. 1 year later, I will be able to participate in the school competition and strive to enter the Heaven Center district. 1 year later, Kang Xinmu's goal was the core of the Heaven's Pivot district. If this was known to others, it would be hard to believe, and some might even sneer at him. Going from the Fekta region to the Heaven Center region in a year was practically a pipe dream. It had to be known that it had taken top geniuses like Feng Ligei and Yu Tiangsheng several years to go from the Fekta region to the Heaven Jade region, and then from the Heaven Jade region to the Heaven Center region. It was almost impossible to complete such a leap in just a year. But what others could not do, it was not impossible for Kang Xinmu. After all, Kang Xinmu had the devouring talent, and he could lead the team to monopolize the Beast Abyss, so it would be relatively easier for him to gain experience points. It was not impossible for him to reach the strength of the Heaven Center region in a year. Of course, Kang Xinmu was not 100% sure that he could achieve it. There were 9 places in the Heaven Center region now, 3 times more than before. But every cultivator in the Heaven Center region was the best among the students, and they basically had divine dragon blood at the level of the Dragon Emperor. Moreover, they were at the 5th level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm and above. The Dragon Emperor's blood might even be at the 3rd or 4th level. It would be rather difficult for Kang Xinmu to catch up to them. Now that I'm in the Fekta region, I can spend half a year to absorb the dragon mark's energy. Kang Xinmu thought to himself. His current divine dragon blood was at the 6th level of the Dragon King. If he wanted to reach the Dragon Emperor's level of divine dragon blood, he would have to upgrade it 4 more times. In the past, these 4 upgrades might have taken him 2 to 3 years. But now, he only needed less than a year. Of course, the prerequisite was that he would not encounter a bottleneck in breaking through. With Kang Xinmu's talent, it was unlikely that he would encounter a bottleneck. Moreover, Kang Xinmu could not always cultivate in the Dragon Martial Academy and absorb the Dragon Mark's energy. He had to lead the team to the Beast Abyss and train himself from time to time. After all, his Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique and Wind Shadow Flowing Cloud Flash could only be improved through actual combat. Among them, the Wind Shadow Flowing Cloud Flash improved faster through actual combat. On the other hand, the Divine Dragon Tyrant Body Technique required him to experience all kinds of attacks, allowing his Divine Dragon Body to withstand the destruction of all attributes. Finally, he could absorb the Primordial Tyrant Body Beast's energy to break through. Therefore, it would be difficult for Kang Xinmu to improve his Advanced Origin Source Dragon Martial Technique if he stayed in the Dragon Martial Academy. If he stayed in seclusion, he might need 1 to 2 years to improve these 2 martial techniques to the Earth grade. That was too slow for Kang Xinmu. Therefore, it was necessary to go out and train. Moreover, Kang Xinmu wanted some experience points to exchange for some treasures that could help him absorb the Dragon Mark's energy faster. For example, some medicinal pills that could help the Divine Dragon Body absorb the Dragon Mark's energy faster. Another example was that some natural treasures contained the Dragon Mark's energy. If he absorbed them, it could also speed up the advancement of Kang Xinmu's Divine Dragon Blood Essence. Ordinary students rarely exchanged for natural treasures that contained the Dragon Mark's energy. That was because the speed at which they obtained experience points was too slow. And the speed at which Kang Xinmu obtained experience points was definitely several times faster than ordinary students. If he went to the Beast Abyss, as long as his luck wasn't too bad, he would be able to obtain a lot of experience points and exchange them for treasures with Dragon Mark's energy. It wouldn't be a waste of his time. Instead, it would shorten the time it took for his Divine Dragon Blood Essence to advance. I'll cultivate for a period of time and break through to the 7th level of the Dragon King's Blood Essence. Kang Xinmu made his decision. Next, he got Ran Ran, Liang Xiao, Xiao Yuhua, and the girl in white to stay in the academy to absorb some Dragon Mark's energy so that the Dragon King's Blood Essence could advance by 1 level. Of course, the speed at which they absorbed the Dragon Mark's energy was definitely not as fast as Kang Xinmu. It could only be said that they improved as quickly as possible. All dragon martial artists knew that if they relied solely on the treasures of heaven and earth with the energy of the Dragon Mark to raise the grade of the Divine Dragon's Blood Essence, the Divine Dragon's Blood Essence would not be as pure. Even if they broke through to the Dragon Emperor realm in the future, their power would be lower than that of other dragon martial artists. Generally speaking, it was best to rely on natural treasures to absorb Dragon Mark's energy not to exceed half of the Divine Dragon Blood Essence's grade. Otherwise, it would affect one's strength. Anything below half would not be affected. Chapter 44-44. Ordinary students absorbed the Dragon Mark energy step by step, and the absorption efficiency was not high. However, Kang Xinmu used his devouring power to directly devour the Dragon Mark energy, and he could also devour the Dragon Mark energy around him. His absorption efficiency was 10 times higher than that of ordinary Dragon Warrior students. Ran Ran, Liang Xiao, and the others were not too slow in absorbing the Dragon Mark energy either. They were all showing off their abilities. They had exchanged the points from the Void Beast experience for some treasures like the Dragon Scar Blood Pendant that could increase the absorption efficiency of the Dragon Mark energy. These treasures were not as heaven-defying as the Dragon Scar Blood Pendant, but they could increase their absorption efficiency by 2 or even 3 times. This way, the 4 of them could absorb the Dragon Mark energy at a fast rate. At least before reaching the 6th level of Dragon King, it was still very fast. In just half a month, Ran, Liang Xiao, and the others' Dragon King blood essence levels had increased by 2 levels, reaching the 5th and 4th levels respectively. Xiao Yuhua and the girl in white had reached the 7th level of Dragon King blood essence, which was a relatively high level, and they were faster than Kong Xinmu. Kong Xinmu was now at the 6th level of Dragon King blood essence. Even though he was in the Fecta region and the Dragon Martial Academy had increased the concentration of the Dragon Mark energy, it would still take him more than 2 months to break through to the 7th level of Dragon King. Apart from the scattered Dragon Mark energy that Kong Xinmu had devoured previously, and now that he had devoured half a month's worth of Dragon Mark energy, Kong Xinmu still needed about a month to reach the 7th level of Dragon King. During this time, Kong Xinmu did not plan to stay in the academy to devour. He decided to go to the Beast Abyss to obtain experience points and exchange for treasures that contained rich Dragon Mark energy. In any case, the Dragon King blood essence he had absorbed from the 6th to the 7th level had already exceeded half of the Dragon Mark energy. It would not affect his strength much if he continued to absorb treasures. It would only allow him to break through to the 7th level of Dragon King faster. Originally, it would have taken a few months. Now, if he was lucky, he might be able to reach his goal in a few days. Therefore, the Beast Abyss was absolutely necessary. Furthermore, the efficiency of the others in absorbing the Dragon Mark's energy in the Dragon Martial Academy was not as good as Kong Xinmu. If they continued to stay in the academy, the gap between them and Kong Xinmu would only widen. 20 days after the energy of the Dragon Mark of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy skyrocketed, Kong Xinmu brought Ran, Yang Xiao, Xiao Yuhua, and the white-dressed girl with him, planning to head to the Beast Abyss. Nothing major happened in Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. There were just some conflicts between the new and old students. These had nothing to do with Kong Xinmu. If it wasn't for Kong Xinmu's terrifying battle prowess in the Academy's grand competition, those new students would have come looking for trouble with him. Unfortunately, the battle prowess that Kong Xinmu had displayed during the battle with White Scorpion Qianbing made everyone realize that he was not to be trifled with. At least, among all the new students, apart from Gu Yusheng and another girl, no one was a match for Kong Xinmu. The likes of 9th Young Master Gu and Young Master Liang couldn't even take a single blow from Kong Xinmu. Gu Yusheng and that girl were now students in the Imperial Center District. They had already headed to the vicinity of the crack in the void. Naturally, they wouldn't come looking for trouble with Kong Xinmu. Therefore, in Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy, where the new and old students were at odds with each other, Kong Xinmu had never been disturbed by anyone. It was rather quiet. They're out. When Kong Xinmu's group of 5 headed to Emperor Shi's formation, 2 new students saw them secretly. They immediately left from a hidden spot near Emperor Shi's formation, wanting to inform someone. Not long after, the 2 new students saw 9th Young Master Gu and Young Master Liang, who were drinking and having fun with several young girls. 9th Young Master Gu and Young Master Liang were now students in Yuheng District. They were considered mid-level students in Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. Moreover, they came from hidden dragon martial arts families and were the direct descendants of their respective families. Naturally, their statuses were distinguished. Not to mention the new students who were selected from the Dragon Emperor's kingdom, even some of the old students thought highly of these 2 people. Today, 9th Young Master Gu and Young Master Liang held a banquet together. They invited many graceful and beautiful young dragon martial artists to drink and have fun together. Of course, those young female students who had surpassed Yuheng District would not be interested in these 2 fellows. On the other hand, those young female students who had always been in Yaoguang District and had tried their best to improve themselves ran over to seduce these 2 young masters. They planned to fight for some cultivation resources so that they could improve themselves. They knew what kind of price they would have to pay, but they didn't think that it was inappropriate. After all, the dragon martial artists respected the strong. As long as they could become stronger, they were willing to pay any price. Ninth Young Master Gu, Young Master Liang, Kong Xinmu has gone to Emperor Shi's formation with his men and has disappeared. The two new students who had been monitoring Emperor Shi's formation came to Ninth Young Master Gu's palace. They immediately went to his side and whispered into his ear. "Oh? How many of them?" Ninth Young Master Gu's face instantly lit up and he asked in a low voice. "A total of 5 people. Kong Xinmu is the strongest. The rest, in my opinion, are all useless." The new student chuckled. "Young Master's arrangements can be put to good use. I think they are most likely going to Beast Abyss. This time, Kong Xinmu will definitely not come back alive." It seemed that they had made arrangements in Beast Abyss. Only students of Dragon Martial Arts Academy could enter Beast Abyss. However, it was not limited to students of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy. Therefore, if they wanted to make arrangements, they could indeed arrange for some strong students to enter Beast Abyss and attack Kong Xinmu. If he killed Jiang Shenwu in the Beast Abyss, no one would be able to detect it. On the surface, Ninth Young Master Gu and Young Master Liang did not have any conflict with Kong Xinmu. However, they still adored Ran Ran. If they wanted to get Ran Ran, they had to kill Kong Xinmu. Moreover, they could not expose that they were the ones who attacked Kong Xinmu. Kong Xinmu had cultivated in Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Arts Academy for 20 days. Now that he had finally left the academy, he had given them a chance. Everything they had done against Kong Xinmu had been carried out in secret. Apart from their own people, no one else knew. Therefore, Kong Xinmu and the other 4 did not know that someone had already arranged for them to enter Beast Abyss. The 5 of them passed through Emperor Shi's formation and appeared in Beast Abyss. When they opened their eyes, the 5 of them realized that a desert had appeared in front of them. Beside the desert was an ocean covered by dark clouds. The ancient Nether Sea Road. Chapter 44-45. It's the ancient Nether Sea Path. Kong Xinmu saw the scene in front of him and said directly. "To be honest, we haven't been to the Beast Abyss much." Xiao Yuhua looked around curiously. "I heard that the left side of the ancient Nether Sea Path is the barren desert, and the right side is the Nether Sea. Both are dangerous areas with many powerful demonic beasts. The Raging Flame Desert and the Nether Sea." Kong Xinmu had spent a lot of time in the outskirts of the Raging Flame Desert. Now that he was revisiting this place, his strength was at least 10 times stronger than before. Moreover, he had 4 companions. Even if he encountered some demon emperors, he could kill them head-on. As long as they were not demon emperors above the 4th tier of the Rebirth Tribulation realm, Kong Xinmu was not particularly afraid. "Let's go to the Raging Flame Desert." Kong Xinmu quickly made the arrangements. Training in the Beast Abyss was relatively safe. Even if they encountered danger, they could directly teleport back to Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy through the imprint of Emperor Shi's formation. Therefore, Kong Xinmu was not too worried. He led the 4 of them directly toward the Raging Flame Desert. Under the scorching sun, the 5 of them all transformed into dragons and flew, bringing with them a strong aura that spread out in all directions. Although it was only the blood essence of the Dragon King level, the aura that they erupted still caused many demonic beasts in the outskirts of the Raging Flame Desert to tremble. They all hid deep in the desert, not daring to poke their heads out. Now that Kong Xinmu's strength had increased, the insect tribes in the outskirts of the Raging Flame Desert were naturally no longer a threat to Kong Xinmu. He planned to head to the central region of the Raging Flame Desert to hunt some demon emperors. Or demon kings. Anyway, against a demon king, even if it was a 7th tier Rebirth Tribulation realm, he was confident that he could fight it. The key was that his strength had increased a lot compared to before, and he had 4 companions. When their team fought against demon kings or demon emperors, their biggest advantage was to take advantage of the other party's underestimation. Now, in their team of 5, everyone could fight above their level. Therefore, if they encountered a demon king or demon emperor, the other party would most likely underestimate them. This was their chance. If he made use of his opponent's underestimation of him, he would be able to kill his opponent in one fell swoop. Kang Xinmu led the team deeper into the flaming desert. Unbeknownst to them, in an area adjacent to the ancient Nether Sea Path, 4 Fecta region dragon martial artists had already met. These 4 Fecta region dragon martial artists did not know each other, and they came from 4 different dragon martial academies. Every dragon martial academy had a student. The 4 dragon martial artists gathered together and looked at each other, each of them looking down on the other. After all, the 4 dragon martial academies were competitors. This time, the 4 of us will join forces to besiege and kill Kang Xinmu. We must kill him in one strike and not leave any loose ends. One of the dragon warriors said. A woman's cold voice rang out. That's right. When we train in the Beast Abyss, we can use Emperor Shi's imprint to directly return to the Dragon Martial Academy. We have to guard against them. Isn't that up to you, Qianbing? A man chuckled and said, White Scorpion Qianbing, I heard that you were suppressed by that brat Kang Xinmu in the Academy tournament of Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. How unsightly. That Kang Xinmu only joined our Donghuang Yangwu College for 2 years. You've been in the Dragon Martial Academy for close to 20 years, but you're not a match for a newbie. Huh. Hearing the man's chuckle, the woman who spoke earlier sneered. What nonsense are you talking about? This Kang Xinmu is a top genius. Even your Super Dragon Martial Academy's dean couldn't kill him when he wanted to. If your Donghuang Yangwu College could use some of him, what would be left for us? How dare you insult our dean? The man's face darkened, and his voice was cold as he looked at Qianbing. I wouldn't dare. I'm just saying that you students are useless. You can't even share the dean's burden. Qianbing laughed coldly. She would not fall into the man's trap. That's enough. A muscular disciple from the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy pressed his hand and immediately said, Since we're traveling together, we can't fight among ourselves first. Right now, we know their location. They're in the blazing desert beside the ancient Nether Sea Path. Qianbing. A black-veiled woman from the Southern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy said softly, You have a conflict with that Kang Xinmu, so it's best that you show up first. After all, you're from the same Dragon Martial Academy. If you're in danger, he won't leave you be, right? That's not necessarily the case. Who knows if that Kang Xinmu is someone who doesn't want to save me? Qianbing glanced at her and said calmly. Of course, she knew what the other party was planning. They wanted her to attract Kang Xinmu's attention so that the other 3 could launch a sneak attack and kill Kang Xinmu. They had the advantage of knowing the whereabouts of Kang Xinmu's group of 5. Qianbing, you should also consider the possibility of the assassination failing. The black-veiled woman's voice was ethereal. She had a graceful and voluptuous figure, and her perfect curves were eye-catching. Her eyes were revealed outside the black veil. She looked at Qianbing emotionlessly and said, If the assassination is successful, everything will be fine. However, if the assassination fails, or if one of them escapes, won't you be exposed? The most appropriate method is to pretend to be heavily injured to attract their attention. Even if they don't fall for the trap and get close to you, we can make them neglect their surroundings and launch a sneak attack. This way, even if the assassination fails, it won't affect your status in Emperor Shi's Dragon Martial Academy. What do you think? Hearing this, Qianbing's face darkened. Obviously, the other party was right. She couldn't assassinate Kang Xinmu's group of 5 directly, and she didn't have any means to change her appearance. Even if she could change her appearance, she would use the power of the white scorpion god's venomous dragon. Kang Xinmu had fought with her before, so it was impossible for him not to recognize her. Therefore, the black-veiled woman's words were reliable. Qian Bing was most suitable to pretend to be heavily injured to attract the attention of Kang Xinmu's group of 5. Also, it's best to keep that woman named Ran Ran alive. The young man from the Northern Desolate Dragon Martial Academy said calmly, therefore, even if we succeed in the assassination, Qian Bing, it's best for you to conceal yourself and not expose yourself. This is from your point of view. Moreover, isn't this the reason why we arranged for you to cooperate with us in the first place? If you can conceal yourself well, you can even continue to be with Kang Xinmu's group after we fail in the assassination and look for a second chance. Why not? Hearing this, Qian Bing could only smile calmly. She said, let's do as you say. She thought to herself, what second chance? If she really succeeded in assassinating Kang Xinmu, then the reward will be hers alone, and the other 3 won't get anything.